Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. It's been a South African, another day in South Africa in terms of load shedding popped up. We went down, we missed the first hour basically of play almost to the dot. And as we're now sitting down to go live, welcome Matt.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you. Again, yes.
After we'd done a beautiful intro and we were going and we were chatting and life was good, and then we realized that we actually weren't live. Which is a bit of a problem. But we are now live. The power is back. The internet should stay. Dave Miller is covered. It's just straight driving, check driving. Buggers. Life is good. Life is good.
Yeah, it is great, especially if you're Dave Miller.
Yeah, and Captain, Mr. Captain at the end at the crease. Right. So just to update you on what we've missed. MI Cape Town winning the toss and choosing to field first. Paarl Royals are sitting at 77 for 3 after 12 overs, unless he has to bowl that again. He will. Stone will have to bowl that again. So it's been a decent start. After Archer back in the action with a wicket. Dwayne Jansen getting a wicket as well. Marco Jansen's brother. So good to see him getting in the action, and very excited to see what he can do, because if Marco has been so successful, if Dwayne can be half pay, it'll be quite a useful addition. But
So what was interesting, I think, from the early news from the middle was Vian Liver opening the batting, which was not something we expected to see. It was, in fact, it was quite a late change. Even the commentators on the broadcast were quite surprised by it. We all were. He didn't exactly cover himself in glory, to be fair. He went out for 3 of 8. The shot that he tried to play was, I suppose, it was a bit of a wild swing without any foot movement, anything. Just top edged it. It was a pretty simple catch. Apart from that, to catch everyone up, we've got Jason Roy. He came in at number 3. That was Jansen's wicket. He made 13 or 14. Dane Vilas clean bowled by Ollie Stone for 6. So as things stand, Dave Miller is at the crease. He's 15 not out of 10. Got off to a bit of a slow start. The first, I want to say, maybe over or 2, or overall, yeah, about an over. But being Dave Miller, as you know, man he can certainly expand on his run rate. Josh Buttler's still there. I think he will most certainly be key. You're looking at that Paarl Royals lineup and you go, they're a bit light in batting, but they do have match winners, 2 of which are at the crease as we speak. 40 or 33, or 41 now, or 34. He's definitely going to be someone that they're going to need to keep at the crease if they're to get something out of what is a match where they really are the underdogs.
yeah, no, I think Paarl Royals. It's interesting because you're looking at all these different sides and the fact that obviously the Test Pro Tours are available or still coming back, stuff like that. So, but I was surprised at some of the selections from Paarl Royals. For example, something like Mitch van Buren not being included today, I thought was a weird player to leave out, because he's had just come off the back of a brilliant One Day Cup campaign where he was striking at well over 120, 130, 140. Scored 100 during that during that One Day Cup. For me, the heir apparent to Dave Miller, so surprised not to see him. So if we're talking about batting to come after these two, Owen Morgan coming in, plenty of experience, and you've got Fabrizio Adams, Bjorn Patel. So not these two are going to have to take quite deep. And look, we're sitting only with 7 overs still to go, so not too many overs. But you kind of feel these two can sit there until sort of 16, 17. Owen Morgan does have the ability to go from the get-go. But I think also, they were talking earlier, some of the commentators were talking about, what sort of score should we be looking at. And often, you look at, you sometimes say you want to double your score about 12 overs. So, yeah, I think you should be looking at about 170 odd. Where do you reckon you...
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much about right. I mean, currently they're going along at under 7 and over. But you have to say, if you got a Josh Buttler, you got a Dave Miller at the crease, it's really, it could be any score if the 2 tee off. I mean, we're having a look now. It says projected score at their current rate, 134 runs. You've got to say if these guys survive the next 5 overs, that's going to be much closer to 160, 170.
Yeah.
A little earlier on, I was hearing that they were saying the pass score's around 164. Is what they're kind of expecting on this wicket. I think, again, that can be blown way out of the water if these two hold their wickets for the next 5 overs.
Yeah, and Rashid always brings up the reverse sweep there, and as he found the gap, good piece of fielding out there in the deep.
So that's Dave Miller as things stand. End of the over, by the way. 86 for the loss of 3 after 13 overs. Miller on 17. Alongside him, of course, Josh Buttler, as we've said, 42 not out off 35.
An interesting first game, actually, first up. And good to see the big players sort of coming off already. You know, I mean, we've got Josh Buttler who's sitting on 42, could very well be looking at our first 50 of the SA20. Jofra Archer back from injury, getting a wicket in his first over, which was a maiden. Second over was a bit expensive, but I think, you know, when you think that this is supposed to be a sold-out crowd, speaking of Jofra Archer, he comes back into the attack. He's currently bowled 2 overs, 1 for 13. Been hit for 1 4, 1 6, and got the wicket of Vian Libber. And that's a good side as well. We're looking at now the crowd packed in there. I'm seeing a lot of MI Cape Town flags. I saw a couple of videos of shirts being handed out. So it looks like the team owners have really gone and actually put some money in trying to make sure that all the fans are in the colour and stuff. But I think the biggest thing with this whole tournament is we want to see our marquee players stepping up and doing the job. You know, as exciting as it is to see some of the youngsters, there's nothing worse than having somebody like a Jofra Archer, having a Rashid Khan, and they pitch up and they don't perform to what we know we can do. You know, we want to watch the best players in the world. These are some of the best players in the world. But so far, the big players have stood up so far, and it's been almost a bit of a gulf in quality. I mean, you look at Sam Curran, he's bowled 2 overs for 6 runs, an economy of 3. Probably one of the best T20 players in the world right now. But it's really good to see that some of the youngsters are now playing with some of these guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, as we're sitting here now, of course, there's 2 Englishmen. Jofra Archer, by the way, back into the attack. He's bowling his third. He went for a couple of singles now. Just 2 balls into the over there. Just sort of pushed away, one onto the offside, one onto the onside. And as you say, you're right. It is great to see some of our own youngsters playing with some of the best players in the world. I mean, you know, you've got Josh Buttler at the crease and you've got Jofra Archer bowling.
Yeah.
These are, even if, you know, fine, it might be an Englishman facing an Englishman bowler, playing in a team, playing in a dressing room, I think is very important with people of this quality.
I mean, I think you look at Paarl Royals, Owen Morgan in that dressing room. I mean, he's a World Cup winning captain. Incredible amount of experience there. So, you know, even for somebody like, you know, you're like your Dave Miller and stuff like that. You know, captaining a new franchise. I mean, Dave Miller is playing the best cricket of his career. But also for him to have someone like Josh Buttler around, to have Owen Morgan around him as well, as I'm sure probably will be forming part of the leadership group. It's a good position to be in. In my Cape Town, I'm very interested to see what their sort of batting lineup is going to look like as well. They've got a lot of power across their lineup. And interesting, I mean, Jofra Archer's marked down to come at 11, and even he can know how to swing it back. However, that has gone straight up in the air. It's definitely not going to go the distance. Is there somebody behind? Oh, and he's
dropped it, but doesn't matter. It was a free hit either way after Archer's last delivery was decidedly a no ball. So 2 runs off that free hit. Bit of a flat bat up into the air.
Yeah, and despite all that, what have you seen almost the yeah, as I think Kevin Peters was remarking here, we're talking about the fact that our local fielding, especially the one they Cup in the local T20, was pretty poor. So
that's a poor drop.
That's a very poor drop. Despite the guys with the free hit, as Kevin, you want to be taking those. And fielding's going to be a bit of an issue. And what's going to be quite interesting, speaking of fielding, and I wanted to talk about it, is the new rules. And we saw the new rule, the fact that you name 13 players and then you can name your final 11 after the toss. But one rule, which I think is going to make quite a big difference, is the fact that they brought in, if you go for a direct hit on a run out and it hits the stumps, the batsman may not run another single off that to encourage aggressive fielding and encourage people having a go. As Buttler, tried to pull out the ramp shot, didn't get all of it. Didn't go exactly where he planned, but still getting away with the boundary.
Not often you play a ramp shot and you end up scuffing it to the third man boundary.
No.
But nonetheless, 4 runs, which is, it's otherwise up until now. Besides the no ball, it wasn't a bad over from Jofra Archer. I mean, you look there, it was definitely not what Dave Miller was looking for. I mean, he connected with the back of the bat. Somehow didn't scoop it, but scuffed it is probably the best word to the third man boundary. It, by the way, does move Josh Buttler onto 47, currently not out, so could be in for a 50 here, the first 50.
No, we'll see this disappear. Come down the pick. Nah, just sort of punches it off to.
Just punches it down the offside there to the covers. Single taken. Moves him on to 48 off 38.
And Josh Buttler, I think one of those people who, once he gets to his 50, I mean, look, I was about to say, will then look to accelerate, but I mean, he's currently striking at 120, so it's not that he's been particularly pedestrian. But I think I mean, after this, got 6 overs left. I think we're going to see both these players start to really sort of start to open up, and I think try and accelerate the scorecard because it does look a very true deck. Looks like a good deck. The outfield's nice and quick. I think the ball was hit on a bit later with the dew coming in, so it should be a good chasing wicket. I mean, both captains did say they did want to bowl first and chase, which is interesting because to back yourself to chase in the first game of the tournament, stuff like that. I think speaks a lot about what the ground is going to play like. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the wagon, I mean at the Manhattan there. A couple of sort of middle overs there. It took a while to get going after the power play. A couple of wickets in the 7th and 10th over, but 12th over was good. 14th over now is a bit high, but they'll definitely want to start seeing sort of overs towards that sort of between that 10 and 15 mark as we head into the last 6 overs. And yeah, I think for captaincy wise now, you've got Jafar Archer, he's just bowled 3. Rashid Khan still got 1. Dwayne Jansen and Ollie Stone got 2 apiece. Sam Curran's got 2 apiece. You'd imagine he'll bowl probably the last one as well. Do you think we'll see George Linder again bowl 2 overs so far?
Maybe. I would say you kind of want to. I don't know if I'd put him in at the death, but I would say maybe between kind of over 15, 16, maybe 17, you kind of play him around there. I mean, they're not chasing, so they don't have to really worry too much about that. As things stand, it's a bit precariously balanced. 99 for 3. We're just starting the 15th over now, but now on strike, 48 not out. I think you have to say, yeah, maybe play George Linder. Or bowl George Linder for another couple of overs, if not 2, certainly 1, in the next couple of overs. I don't want to leave him to the death.
Yeah, look, I personally think if he's not bowling the next over, I don't think he'll bowl again. I think I wouldn't be surprised. We might see Rashid Khan coming in. Those last 4 overs, I imagine, would be spread. Jafar Archer will, I'm sure, will inevitably bowl through. George Linder, I mean, Sam Curran still got 2. He'll bowl those 2 as well. Interesting to see if Ollie Stone will have a go.
Yeah, 100 up, by the way, for MI Cape Town, rather Paarl Royals. That second 50 coming off 40 balls, so they do seem to be speeding up a little bit, despite the wickets. That kind of would make sense, I guess, as well. Obviously, your first 50 is going to generally be a little bit slower. There have been some wickets in the early stages. These two do seem to have a bit of a partnership going on. I mean, it's 100 for 3 now, 14.2 overs. Dave Miller at the crease. Again, a bit of a swing and a miss. But on the bright side, it does bring Jos Buttler back onto strike. 49. Let's see, will he be the first 50? You have to say
Historically,
if there's going to be anyone.
Jos Buttler was yeah, man. He was always going to be a good shot. He was always going to come at the top of the order. So, I mean, this is his format, and he's always going to be in and amongst the runs, regardless of. And the thing with Jos Buttler, doesn't matter what sort of form he's in. Although, I mean, back off the winning the T20 World Cup. He's always going to be in amongst the runs, and I reckon very early shot we're looking at probably one of the top run scorers throughout the competition. Actually,
I would say so.
Oh, having said that, straight over the
top edge, but there is nobody in the deep. Fine leg does come around, but that is enough to see Jos Buttler getting the first 50 of the brand new inaugural SA20. At 50 coming off 40 balls, which is, my maths is dreadful. It's at 120 strike rate.
Large, yeah.
I'd say it's 120 strike rate. Good to see. 102 for 3 at the moment. 14.4 overs bowled down here in Cape Town. It's going to be interesting to see now, because now it's about the press on. We're almost into the last 5 overs. Dave Miller, 24 off 20. You've got to say, he can plod along for another over or so.
Yeah, and he goes over the top, does Dave Miller.
Down to the long on, but there is long on there, so they'll just take the single there.
Right, and then match before you love and leave me, and we bring on our other commentator. 103 for 3, 5 overs going. Where do you reckon we're at the Cape Town? Early predictions, where Paarl is going to end up?
So, I think obviously it depends very much on what these two do. I think if either of these two go out, that'll drastically change the result. I want to say 5 overs left to play. 103 for 3. I want to say that they're going to end up with maybe 165. Reverse sweep there. Attempt. Good stop. Will they take the single? They have indeed. So the end of the 15th over. Currently, Paarl Royals 104 for the loss of 3. Dave Miller at the crease 25 off 21. Jos Buttler alongside him 51 off 41.
And there you go. Well, Matt, thank you very much. And welcome back. And he's bowled him. Well, there we go. Ollie Stone back into the attack. Wicket first up. Josh Buttler with a 51 or 41 has to go. And a bit of excitement, change of commentator, and a bit of action now. Reese, welcome.
Well, I've obviously walked straight into it. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Steve. Looking forward to it. What a way to introduce myself.
Well, you did say you didn't like Josh Buttler, so
I'm not a fan. I'm not going to lie. I a bit of mixed feelings here to see the back of him, but I think that for the team though, Paarl could have definitely used a bit of a follow on there from him.
Yeah, I mean that's a very important time to use a wicket. Going to the last 5 overs, the set batsman, but also that is the definition of a perfect Yorker from Ollie Stone. I mean, it's crashed into middle stump, maybe an inch or two up. It's the perfect Yorker, the perfect response after. Things were looking a little bit away from, I wouldn't say away from me, okay, but I think Paarl looked quite set. Got two, Dave Miller, Josh Buttler players who can accelerate quite quickly. So I think timing on the wicket for that probably couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I think you were saying to Matt there that Josh, once he reaches his 50, generally probably preferred to have kicked on there, and probably just took the most high risk shot he could have at that point. I know he's been playing it quite well. Down to that fine leg region, but perhaps that wasn't really the right sort of mindset to go into, reach a milestone, go on from there. And I wonder how much that played on his mind, the milestone and the first 50 of the tournament, and also just how much batting Paarl actually had behind him. And I think that's something that I wonder if that's playing into their memory and just going, well, what is behind us? If we go now, we've still got 5 overs of this game to go. But after him, sorry to say, I don't think there's much there.
No, you've got Owen Morgan coming in, out and out batsman, but then you have Frisco Adams, who's a bowling all-rounder. You look at his T20 career from a batting perspective, and he's averaging 18, strike rate of 118. So, look, can hit a ball, he's got a 15, not a slouch with the bat, but certainly not an out-and-out finisher. And then you're into Bjorn Fontaine again, also bowling all-rounder, but yeah, I think even Owen Morgan, he's not something characteristically does always necessarily finish. I'm interested to see that he has come down so far down. I would have liked to probably see a bit further up, but I think there's a certain amount of responsibility. And the strange thing for me going into that shot is that he's been trying to scoop and play that ramp. We saw him. He came off the back of his bat off Jofra Archer. He tried to pull out a couple of times, hadn't actually pulled it off successfully yet. So. Not sure shot selection was the best one to go first up, and the perfect Yorker, definitely not the ball to bowl to play that as either.
Absolutely, and I think they've been going on at a relatively decent rate. It probably didn't call for that. I think that sometimes the art of straight down the ground gets a bit lost.
Yes, I agree.
Especially once the first couple of really ingenuitive shots come off. Perhaps they get stuck in a circle of it worked once, let's keep trying. Eventually, bowlers of this quality, they're going to catch on.
Yeah, well, as good as the first ball of the over was almost as bad as the second one, because Ollie Stone following that with an incredibly attempted wide Yorker, almost, but very, very wide, and Owen Morgan just watched it go by. Owen Morgan, interesting player, no longer playing the international circuit, not having his best time on domestic, but in terms of experience, in terms of leadership, you couldn't ask for a better player. He's been there all. He's won it all.
What a figurehead to have in your team, and it's almost for me the John Smith effect. There's a lot of history behind him as a player. He's got it in him, and you just hope that he can deliver no matter what kind of form he might be in.
Yeah, if you look at Josh Buttler's, Owen Morgan's T20 career. If you look at his domestic T20 career, he averages 26 for a strike rate of 131. 37 T20 50s. It's probably the big one. Eventually, coming down the track, he's now seen 2 dot balls, so not what the Paarl Royals would have liked, and exactly what MI Cape Town would have liked him to have seen Josh Buttler go to a 50, have Dave Miller there, so to have an over which is currently wicket wide ... building a bit of pressure quite nicely. And I asked Matt where he's sort of going, sort of looking at the 150s. Where do you think a competitive total for the Royals to defenders?
Having watched a decent amount of cricket in Cape Town, I would say probably about 165, 170 is par. I think that's defendable. personally, I think 160, 155 is probably it's just not enough. Especially having a look at this MI side and their batting lineup. If they come off, even half of them come off, they certainly should be able to chase that down comfortably.
As Eystone runs in for his 5th delivery. Ooh, almost chopped down. Owen Morgan was thought about the single as well. Get a bit low. Not sure was really on the line and the length to cut, and Owen Morgan trying to sort of go around on the backward point there, almost chopping it onto his own stumps. Hasn't looked particularly comfortable in the early deliveries here. And you've got to think now almost at the end of the day, whilst you don't want to dismiss the quality of Owen Morgan, you've got David Miller, who's one of the best T20 batsmen in world cricket right now. You've got to be thinking as him almost just get to the other end to let David Miller have a crack.
Absolutely. To give some credit to Stone here, he has pulled this back quite remarkably.
And a nice little direct hit from the attempted throw.
Nice interesting fact with the new rules there. Wouldn't have been able to take a run off that direct hits.
It's an interesting way of almost making it like a dead ball immediately. Even just to have a bit of a shot, take away any thought about the single.
Absolutely. I was wondering, quite curious to know that is there a current rule in place that if you were to hit the batter, could that take? I know in the spirit of the sport, the batsman doesn't usually take a run if he's hit. But it's wondering why they've done one and not the other, and just kind of encompass that entire. Matt still says you can still run it. Interesting. Why not cover all the bases then? The idea is still the same. The batsman's in his crease. He's got to bat in, hits the bats because he's got it in the way.
Yeah, so
why should you be able to take
it? Just throwing balls to the batsman. So you can't take a run.
Sure. I mean, look, they've got fantastic.
Can't just pot shotting batsmen now.
Maybe back in the day it might have been quite hard to hit a piece of English willow, but these days they make them rather thick. So not the smallest targets, I guess.
But Rashid Khan, interesting, into the attack on the 17th over. This will be his last over. He's gone none for 20 so far. He'll be bowling to Morgan. And after Miller got a single off the first. So let's see what the approach is. Brings out the reverse sweep. It's gone up to the air. Not sure it's got all of that. It's going to bounce short. Should get a couple here. Does get back for the second.
And again, I wonder if that is a shot selection problem. They had someone out in the deep there, quite fine, admittedly. Someone on the circle there, a little bit shorter, a little bit longer. He was in trouble either way. And you got to wonder what was the intention behind the shot.
Yeah, now just sort of just pumping down to middle, get through the single. Yeah, it doesn't look particularly comfortable. Does more? He's only he's now 3 of 7. And I think the main thing is you've got to get David Miller on to strike. You've got to get him on, and you can't. In this sort of situation now, you can't see one of the best finishers in world cricket stuck on the other end. Watching other players consume deliveries. Now, Dave Miller, and it's
incredible.
There's just raw power. All he's done is just waited for a very little foot movement and just hit it so late through the covers, and he's absolutely steamed it to the boundary. Dave Miller at his finest. I mean, his connection. I've seen very few batsmen who hit a ball as cleanly as Dave Miller.
Yeah, fun story. I played last year in St. Francis Bay, and playing with my father-in-law. I had looked behind me, and some guy was just dropping bombs on us in the fairway. And to be fair, I was having a horrendous round as usual.
I'm glad you had that as usual part.
Absolutely. Turn around and I see Dave Miller absolutely striping it all the way down, and it's very tempted to give up on the round and just watch him. But I don't think you could put anything in his hand and he would absolutely nail the middle of it.
Yeah, so that brings the end to Rashid Khan's spell there. 4 overs, number 28. Not the worst spell from the captain there. We're moving into the last 3 overs there. David Miller taking a single off the last to get himself back on strike. And 3 overs to go. I think you probably see Sam Curran, I'd imagine, coming in here, and you'll bowl the 18th and the 20th. The question is who you're going to bowl the 19th. You've got Jafar Archer, who still has 1 over. You've got Ollie Stone, who's got 1 over left. You've got Dwayne Jansen. I don't think we'll see him. Would you be going for Jafar Archer?
I think that's the very clear-cut shot. 100%. I don't think you can go wrong with him. I think he does need to probably just get a little bit fuller on the length. Although with Davey Miller at the crease, he loves a good full ball. You miss that Yorker by a few inches, he's going to send you.
Yeah, so it is Sam Curran who will come back with his attack. His economy's been 3 so far. Very economical. Probably, arguably the best T20 player in the world right now. Had an absolutely phenomenal T20 World Cup, really come of age. Does go for the Yorker first up.
Yeah, what do you think of Sam Curran in general? He got quite a lot of flack over the last couple of years, especially when he was selected for England. Yeah, I'm curious to know what you think of him.
Yeah, I think he's a player who I think there's been no doubt about the talent. I mean, if you look at in the IPL, they really backed him even as a batsman, not just a bowler. You know, he's opened the batting a couple of times. You know, I think they do see him as a genuine all-rounder. You can contribute with both bat and ball. I think one of those players who sometimes you get pushed through the system a little bit and maybe you're not quite ready. I think he's also been guilty of trying to overdo it at times. You know, he likes to ball a lot of variations, likes to try a lot of different things. And I think in the last of the year, he's really sort of settled into his game. And I think now that he knows his game a bit better, he's got all the tricks. And I think now he's really starting to, with that experience, it's one thing having the skills to do it, but being able to execute during the times of pressure is a whole different kettle of fish. I think that's, for me, what I reckon has been the biggest change of the last sort of year, that ability to execute his plans and his different skills when the time needs it.
Absolutely. And he's doing so well over here. Let's see if this goes for 4.
It's a good piece of fielding in there. Dave Miller carving it out towards the sweeper. Westman Addison carry. And interesting to see how Westman Addison goes. A player who has not played a lot of cricket, has been injured. And then went on the test tour but didn't play, only played the first test. And I mean, like most South African batsmen, didn't spend a lot of time in the crease. Hasn't played a white ball game in a while. Is set to come in at the top of the order, which is interesting.
I think that's probably the best for him, to be very honest. I think we've seen Rusty do a lot of save jobs over the years. And I think it's time to give him the opportunity to show what he can do.
Oh, there it is. That's a Dave Miller special. He just waits. We're in the block hole. It's gone straight over long on. That is absolutely massive.
They saw that ball on the mountain for sure.
I mean, that's gone a mile. That is easily the biggest one we've seen today. And we talk about we want to get it nice and full, but if you miss that length, and that's bread and butter. He's absolutely drilled that.
What a sight to behold. The little bicep flex there as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, your 100 rand that you pay to come and watch the cricket, that's what you spend on shots like that.
Wow.
Right, Sam Curran a bit of pressure. 10 off the over so far. Goes for the wide one. Dave Miller does fetch it.
Just past point there.
We'll just get through for 1. I think it's a nice net result actually. It's 11 off the over. Owen Morgan will see the last. See a bit of license now on this last ball as well because Dave Miller will be on strike. Unless they take a single.
All right, so 125, looking about just short of the 18th there. We still on target for 160.
I think if Dave Miller's facing the last is 10 of the last 12, I reckon it could be it's always on when Dave Miller's at the crease. And Owen Morgan has decided anything you can do, I can do better. Well, he's absolutely creamed that. For someone who hadn't looked particularly comfortable, hadn't hit one out the middle, that's come out of the screws and gone an absolute mile.
I was just about to comment on the massive backlift that Owen Morgan has. It's almost vertical behind his back. I was just thinking to myself, if he gets hold of anything, it is traveling. And travel it did. 92 meters. What a shot.
And what an over. 16 off the over. In fact, 17 off the over as we go into the last 2. All of a sudden, 131 for 4. Sam Curran, now his figures have taken a bit of a bashing there, but it's amazing how the game could turn like that. You've gone back, you've gone 6 single 6, 17 off the over, 2 overs to go. All of a sudden, you're sitting there going, well, 2 more 17s, and 160 suddenly becomes very achievable. Harry Casual just doesn't even watch it. One-handed catch there for the £1 million. No, it's been put down. There's a chance. There's definitely a chance. A reminder that Betway have sponsored £1 million for any fan that takes a clean one-handed catch who's over the age of 18. It's basically by the end of the tournament, everyone that has made a one-handed catch, the £1 million will be divided equally amongst all of them. So very cool to see those sort of incentives being brought back to try and encourage the fans. And definitely a couple of chances in the last 2 and in the last over. Jofra Archer, as we had said, is coming to the attack now. He's going to Dave Miller.
Well played.
Now starts the slow ball. Ooh, bit of a... Almost pulled up there, right? So,
what do you think these England boys, when they're up against each other, what do you think's going through their minds? Do you think they're focused on the internal rivalry, the relationship between them, or is it just pure cricket?
I feel like these players, especially like somebody like Owen Morgan, 36 years old, he's earned all the money, he's done everything. There must be a certain amount of like, this is my mate, and I'm going to pump him.
Absolutely.
Like there has to be, it's. I think these guys. I think maybe you go back 5-6 years ago when when you're playing the IPL. That's like you're like such a big thing. Now when you're playing in so many different tournaments, you're now playing against your teammates more often. There must be so much more these days of just, I'm here to do a job, but also that's my mate, and if I can deposit him back, there's definitely gonna be a couple of words to the next England camp.
Absolutely. 2 singles of Joffa's first 2 balls here, looking like a good over.
And
Ball.
gone.
Fantastic.
He's been up the fielder. Oh, a bit of a header there.
David Miller gone, 42 from 30.
Just not enough pace in the ball. I think Joffa Archer's really been banging into the surface, bowling a lot of his slower balls. You hadn't seen much pace from him, and Dave Miller's just holds out. Tom with the cut, and he was a little bit off balance, and the field didn't have to move. It's gone straight down his throat, on the boundary, down there, deep point, and thanks, Matt, in the background there. I do know a couple of fielding positions that have played it.
1 or 2.
Dave Miller there, 42 or 31. I'm frustrated about that because, as we said, all of a sudden, these guys go like they were going the last over, and 160 gets them with the cards very quickly. But what a return there from Paarl Royals. As Frisco Adams walks out to the crease, 133.5. Probably now be happy with sort of 150, 155, you'd imagine.
I think you're going to have to be happy with 150. I don't think they have too many options left. I think Rashid Khan's decision to bowl first is definitely looking justified at this point.
Yeah, New Zealand has characteristically has been quite a good chasing ground. The dew picks up later, the ball kind of skids on, and I think becomes quite good to bat on. Also, the ball gets a bit wet, which obviously gets a bit difficult to hold and grip later on.
Yeah. The one thing you also know about Cape Town is that in the dying light, it gets a little bit awkward start-wise. It changes very quickly, and as a batsman, it can be very disconcerting.
Right, Frisco Adams on strike, 3 balls left in the over. Jofra Archer bangs it in. Oh, and that's gone straight up. And I think we're gonna have a wicket. We're gonna have a hat trick on a hat trick. Is Jofra Archer. And Frisco Adams once again he's brought out that slow ball far too early on the shot. It's gone straight up. And from bad to worse for the Paarl Royals. Well, all of a sudden,
Ball by Jofra.
And it's just it looks like he's.
Oh, it's just a leg cutter. It's beautiful. Just outside off stump. It's fantastic. On a length.
Safe as houses. You'd expect something to have good hands underneath there.
Actually, a good catch. He's gone out from a bit of shadows into a bit of sunlight and looking straight up.
Yeah, I think this is what we spoke about the batting, the lack of batting. Frisco Adams going first up now. We've got Bjorn Fortuin coming in. Now Paul was in a bit of trouble, but that's Jofra Archer, isn't it? That's why you pay the big bucks, and the fact that they managed to get him as a wild card signing is incredible. I mean, he's not being paid. He's a very small contract compared to the others. So have the world class quality of him, and you think you're still adding a Peter Abad into this attack. What an absolute pleasure for Rashid Khan to sit there and look at his bowling options and see the likes of Sam Curran, Jofra Archer.
And you can just see the carry that Archer's getting. And to be very honest, I still think he's probably operating at about 85. I don't think he's really pumping it yet.
No, I don't think we've seen the Jofra Archers hitting the sort of the low and low to mid 90 miles per hour. I think he's very much. Yeah, so we've seen a lot of variations coming out. That leg cutter, the last one. Bjorn Fortuin walks to the park. Still just 28 years old. Been around a long time. Only sort of in the last stages of his career, in the last couple of years, really coming through as an all-rounder. Not got much behind his name stats-wise, averaging just 9. But a hat-trick ball, more to the point. We see our first hat-trick of the SA20. Bangs it in full. And Fortuin happy to just put his bat in the way and get through that hat-trick delivery. 7 balls remaining in the innings. 160 all of a sudden looking very far away.
Absolutely. I think at this point it's... Look, we said it earlier, and fortunately for Paul, it's coming to fruition now. There's really nobody after Owen Morgan. I mean, Fortuin's unfortunately got a best of 31. He's only scored in the 30s. Against Jofra Archer, it's a big ask.
Well, just 2 runs off the over, 2 wickets. Bjorn Fortuin tried to guide down to third man, almost to take the single, and Morgan was, as you expected, not interested in running at all. Last over, it will be Sam Curran, I'm sure, to bowl it. Owen Morgan on strike. What is the best case scenario you have for Paarl Royals? 150 maybe?
I think 145.
145.
It's a fair score.
But then you'd say 145, probably 15 to 20 runs shy of par.
Absolutely. And even then, I think it's well below par. I think we'll see throughout the tournaments that we'll start looking at 170 as being about where you should be. I'm confident we'll see a couple of 190s, a couple of 200s, and we'll start looking at these games where the guys are sitting on their 140s and their 150s and go, this is certainly not enough. I remember one of the first IPL games, it may have even been the very first, with Brendan McCullum absolutely teed off. And at the time, I can't remember who exactly was playing for, scored 200 plus. And even that was a closest game. Different conditions, of course.
Well, it is not Sam Curran. Ollie Stone has been back to bowl the final over. He starts with a dot ball. This is a decision which I'm sure at the toss would not have been the case. I think if you had asked Rashid Khan he's going to bowl his last two, you would have told you Sam Curran. But I like to see that this is a reward for a good spell. 2 for 22 or 3.1 overs. Bowled a terrific Yorker to remove Josh Buttler. Are you a fan of the decision of backing someone who's bowling well on the day?
Absolutely. I think Rashid Khan's done a fantastic job here. Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Oh, it's gone straight up. It's gone straight up. I don't think it's going to go all the way. The question is, if there's a man underneath it, it'll fall safe. They'll be desperate to get back for the second.
Oh.
It's hit the batsman. Hit the bat. It's half an appeal.
He's straight in his run there. Absolutely no chance for the appeal there.
Yeah, hasn't changed his line at all.
And yeah, so back to the question. I think it's a fantastic decision. Any captain needs to be able to adapt. I'm particularly impressed with Rashid Khan in the way he's managed his bowlers here. And I think it's rather impressive as someone who's doesn't share a nation with any other player in this team to come in, get to know the bowlers.
Well, that will disappear. He literally just slapped that over almost towards the square leg boundary. Not necessarily maybe the most orthodox of pulls, but more importantly, Morgan finding the boundary there, 6 off the over.
I think Stone's just missed his length there with an off cutter. Something of a half tracker.
Yeah, much needed run. I agree. I think, as I said, Rashid Khan, it was an interesting decision to make him the captain. He is a T20 journeyman, so there's no doubt about his experience nor his leadership. He's captain before, but yeah, to come to South Africa, to play with a lot of players he might not necessarily have played with before, to give him the armband was a big backing. But I think that's it's interesting also now. We're talking about the relationship not just with MI Cape Town, but with the MI franchise. All these different teams from around the world. And players now being sort of involved in a franchise more than just a team. Brevis, for example, who's part of MI, Mumbai Indians for the IPR in the MI Cape Town, so very much part of that MI system. Interesting now, whether we'll start seeing, coaches being shared, captains maybe even in both, both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very curious to know what the exact relationship is between the two. Well, call it the franchise and the not sub-franchise, but partner franchise, if you would call it that.
Yeah.
I wonder what is the relationship in regards to sharing of resources, and how that's going to go in the years to come.
Yeah, I think hopefully, I think they're hoping that it will be quite a good one. I think, for example, like Stephen Clemmy involved with JSK, you'll be very involved with Chennai as well. And I think it'll hopefully just, create such a good pipeline for so many players to move overseas. But anyway, the last ball, Ollie Stone runs in. Looks to go wide, and Morgan has fired that on to long off there. And then we will come back for the second. He will be run out. Wasn't going to get there, unfortunately. He's always going to be struggling. So, Paarl Royals will finish on 142 for 6. Top score there was from Josh Buttler, 51 of 42. A cameo from Dave Miller, 42 of 31. Not his best innings. Owen Morgan chipping with a 17 towards the end. But reason, if we're going to be very honest, yeah, as we almost sort of predicted, probably about 15 to 20 runs shy of what is par. And I would say going into the innings break, probably advantage MI Cape Town.
Absolutely. I think exactly what they set out to do. If you had told MI Cape Town that Paarl were going to walk out with 142, they would say job done.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, there we go. First innings of the SA20 has been wrapped up. As I said, Paarl Royals, they're finishing on 142. MI Cape Town will need 143 to win. Down in Cape Town, looks like a beautiful evening. A lot of fans in. We will be taking a break before we come back for the second innings. When we return, Matt will be joining Reza, and we'll see you guys a bit later. If you are new, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys in a few minutes after the innings break.
used to go to a couple of months when you were on friends side, winning a term together, and now you're sitting on opposite sides. How difficult is it to, put friendships away and then having to go into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I've played a lot more against Rashid than with him. But rather having on my team, to be honest. But it's, I think that's the joys of these kind of competitions around the world, is that you get to meet different players and experience, the on the field. But for me, I mean, it's, when you cross the line in the field, you always want to work with your team, no matter what it is. So, I mean, we always have that friendship off the field, but everyone's a professional sportsman here and competitive and is eager to win. So we kind of just separated a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think David said, like, it's once you cross the line, you have to play for your team, and I think that is very important. Inside the field, you have to give that 100%, and you have to do whatever the best is there for the team. And outside, we're friends and we enjoy and we have fun. But yeah, so we played together last year for IPL, and now we against each other. So I think that makes the competition more beautiful. Like, he knows what you're gonna do, I know what he's gonna do, and that's something which definitely challenges is there, and that makes the game more beautiful. So I think it's gonna be exciting game tomorrow, and already super excited about it.
Ajay, please fix the microphone to answer.
Rashid, I just want to ask you down basically before the practice place, and I want to know what it's like in Cape Town. How are you sitting in the team by Cape Town?
Well, it's good so far. I've been here from the last couple of days, and still to have that kind of full team practice. But looking forward, to know each other, and I think it's gonna be exciting next few weeks for me as a captain. There will be lots of things that I will learn during the captaincy, and tough challenges will be there, but I think that's how cricket is all about. You face a tough time, and that makes you better and better day by day. So yeah, MI Cape Town team, I'm so happy and blessed to be in this team representing this. We have the quality of the players, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to learn from each and everyone, and to lead in the team is a proud moment. But at the same time, I think we just need to, I will try my best, the way I didn't perform in the other leagues and for my national team. We'll keep it simple and just make sure I keep enjoying my cricket and keep smiling.
Yeah, we're very privileged to have obviously the two captains there, and then the experience that they have is invaluable for our guys and our squad. So for me as a captain, I haven't captained too many games in my career, but I'm always wanting to learn and trying to improve my game, as well as captaincy as well. So to have the guys alongside me, it would be silly not to use them and all their experience. So I'm looking forward to that, and as Rashid mentioned, it grows you, it builds a lot of character in one's game, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. And having guys like that makes a huge difference. And already they've contributed a big amount in the lead up to tomorrow's game. So very pleased to have them alongside.
Again, just to both you guys, David, what Newlands is like when it's full and it's going to be filled out tomorrow. What's the vibe you're expecting tomorrow? And Rashid, you haven't played at Newlands, if I'm correct. What do you expect to feel out there tomorrow from your teammates at the building? Yeah,
I mean, it's actually quite nice to be playing back in South Africa. It's been a couple of years that I think I haven't played in South Africa. So, I mean, I don't think the stage can be set any better for tomorrow with a packed house. It's great to see people coming back to cricket and enjoying. Hopefully it's a spectacular game. I'm sure it will be. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this is what as a cricketer you train for. This is what you you dream for, and it's occasions like this that you want your players to stand up and just enjoy the occasion as much as they can.
You ask me again.
I'm just saying, like, you haven't played at Newlands have the other guys told you about, what's it like playing under David Martin at this special play?
Yeah, I think we just discussed me and Devi. I played one game here during Mzansi T20 and few years back, 4 years back, I think. And I think I had a good game, but I think it's always great to be in a new place and new challenges there. And I think I'm super excited. I had a kind of conversation with the guys regarding the city here and also the ground and the wicket. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game. It's going to be a different challenge for me. But at the same time, I think it will be all about me, how have that kind of belief and keep the things and game simple for myself and just try to make sure enjoy and keep doing the great things and keep make sure that make the fans happy and do some wonderful performance for them.
Outside of Cape Town so far,
Well, it's beautiful, as for I heard and I have seen in the pictures, but I want to go to every place and it's going to be a great experience for me. With Brevis, we went yesterday to that waterfront. We had a bit of window shopping and yeah, then just had a food in one of the restaurants. So it's going to be a good few weeks for me, as I love shopping. I just love going out and but I think for me it's going to be the best place and to look around and go. And so looking forward to the rest of the few weeks and just to make sure we keep doing great things in the ground and also to refresh ourselves and go out and explore the new places.
David, there's quite a hype around player in your team, Kevin Jones, among the fans. I want to ask you, as a Paarl yourself, someone that can go the long way, what is your thoughts on him so far and his range?
Yeah, I've heard a bit about him as well. I haven't seen much of him, to be honest. Yesterday and the day before at training, the amount of power he generates is quite extraordinary. He was hitting the ball to the back gate there at Paarl. So it was with the wind, but still, I don't think I've seen a hit like that before. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to have him on our team. The stuff that he's got, he's got great potential. He can bowl as well. He's a strong guy. He's a great team man. All the characteristics that one needs. And I'm looking forward to this journey with him. And this is the opportunity that these kind of competitions create. You can bring out all the youngsters and see what they can do on the field under pressure. Big stage. So all the guys are really excited to see him hit a couple bombs.
Big local derby. Paarl down the road, Cape Town. Both of you not from this area originally, but you have got local players in your teams. I mean, the camaraderie between the two areas is well known. How are you happy within the squad?
Well, it's very early for me to say that but so far so good. And being with the guys today, got an opportunity to practice with the whole squad, and we practiced yesterday but just few players. But it's gonna be exciting. Met the guys in the hotel. Everyone is super excited about the competition to be starting, and they're so happy to be sharing the experience in the kind of knowledge they have regard the ground and regard the city and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be, as I said before, exciting few weeks for me. Being here, new place, new competition, and new teammates, and it's gonna be great to have new friends here. And yeah, I'm so excited about it.
Rashid, KG's landing, probably just landed or going to land in a few hours. Are you asking him to come out and take the new ball tomorrow, or is he
Well, I think it's a massive decision, and it's totally up to the players. And I think at the same time, we as a management staff, we haven't taken that call on it. And I see as soon he's back, and you see how the things are. And I think after that, whatever he's feel comfortable and whatever is good for him, it's you can't take a big risk as well. He's a fast bowler, so. It will be totally up to him and management staff, whatever they decide, and the coaching stuff. So yeah, let's see how things goes, and we do whatever best for him and for the team.
I'm gonna start getting the last few for the phone.
David, Rajasthan Royals won the inaugural IPL in 2008, I think. Has that been spoken on in the group, and do you feel any extra pressure seeing that this first season as well?
Yeah, it has been brought up. Winning a trophy, they don't really forget about those too quickly. So there's no pressure, to be honest with you. I mean, at this stage, there's always expectation, on the players, on the team. So it's nothing more than we haven't kind of experienced before, and it's about how you deal with that, and your thought process and how you're going to go about it. So yeah, just pretty excited about tomorrow, and just to hopefully take another trophy this season. But it's a lot of steps that's got to take place beforehand. So yeah, just sticking to the process, enjoying ourselves as much as we can, ticking all the boxes that we can, and hopefully that leads us to winning another trophy.
Rashid, you spoke about your window shopping with your opponents, but we know he wants to be an amazing spinner too. Has he picked your brain on the art of spinning?
Well, we had a little bit of time in CPL as well. We played together for St. Kitts, and he's haven't bowled to him yet, to be honest, even in the nets and even there as well. But we mostly, even last night while we were having dinner, the whole topic was just about leg spin. And
Welcome back to our maiden Forever Sports SA20 broadcast. As things stand, we are just about to see baby AB face the first delivery, which he happily bats away to point. No run as of yet. And in case you missed it a little bit earlier on, we saw the Paarl Royals making 142 for 7 from their 20. The big scorer there was Josh Buttler. He was eventually bowled by Ollie Stone for 51 or 42. Dave Miller also, as we know, playing the cricket of his life, 42 or 31, not out. So 143 is the target. And you have to say, Reza next to me, you know all about this batting lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Well, we just see there Yusuf beating the bat. Fantastic to see Brevis out there. I'm excited to see what he's capable of. The nature of the talent that he's going to be facing is going to be high quality, and I think this will already be the springboard for him to see if he can move on to bigger and better things from here. I think you'll have some keen eyes in higher management keeping an eye out on him, for sure, to see if he can handle this kind of pressure.
Well, he just pads that one away down the leg side. First run on the board, Devil Brevis now moves off the mark, 1 of 3. You're right. I think there's a lot to be said for Brevis, and I think there's a reason why he hasn't received all these Proteas call-ups just yet. We've called up Tristan Stubbs. We haven't called up Devil Brevis just yet, and I think you're entirely right. Let the kid get into his rhythm. Let him face the experience. Let him play against the real world class talent, and then he can move in from there. I would say. I mean, Ryan Rickleton alongside him now, also opening the batting. Now he's facing his first delivery. Do you have high expectations for him?
Absolutely, I think.
And
oh my
goodness me! Well, that was a bit of a nothing shot there from Ryan Rickleton, the man we were just about to speak up. He just sort of tapped a ball there to mid-off, and somehow it was dropped.
He's put down an
thunk
absolute
it?
sitter. I can't actually believe that.
That
Oh.
is a dreadful, dreadful drop. I can't believe it.
Look, I play cricket myself in some. Might be called a wide.
Might be called a wide. Yep, that was a bit of a dive and a miss from
Wide,
both first slip and the man behind the wickets.
Yeah,
was
wide
the
and a
wide
bye.
fault.
Ran through, so yeah, 2 runs there for effectively no ball. Yeah, I mean, look, I play some Sunday League cricket, and you see a lot of drops like that. But even in those leagues, that's going to hurt when he gets back to the change room for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, slightly mistimed the pull shot, just for one down to the deep.
Into the over. Not a bad, I suppose, all things considered, first over for MI Cape Town. 3 without a loss after the first over. The old Brevis, 2 runs off the 4 balls he faced. Ryan Rickleton, can you believe that drop was an absolute nightmare? I mean, this is a man you want to get out, is it not?
Absolutely. I mean, just to even break the rhythm a little bit, just to start getting into what is a very deep batting lineup. Take out Rickleton, see how deep you can get, and I think that's something's got to be said here for the quality of Paarl's side. You know, you don't want to get too deep into it. They are all obviously very good cricketers, but at this level, that just can't be happening.
So let's talk a little bit about Ryan Rickleton. I mean, he's a man we expect to score runs in, is he not?
Absolutely. I think for me personally, he should be playing the more of the senior role. He is only 26, but you've got a lot around him. I think he's going to want to be sticky around, hovering around that 110, 120 strike rate, and just being an anchor for the rest of the guys to tee off around him. I mean, he's got the capability to explode himself. Whether he takes that responsibility role, whether we see the two of these boys just absolutely go to town, remains to be seen.
Absolutely. Well, there's spin being introduced now. Bjorn Fortuin comes in for the second over. Brevis pads that one away down the leg side. They'll take just the single. Good shot. Good decision, maybe, or at least an interesting decision to bring spin in so early.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the right move. They've got nothing to lose here. You've got 143. It's a small target. Give it something a little bit different. Hopefully, Fortuin slides one through. You just never know.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting one. You know, Brevis, he has this kind of almost this perception of being a bit of a 6 or a Nix kind of a guy. You know, let's maybe give him something to think about. Ryan Rickleton there gets himself off the mark. Just a nice little single.
Yeah, look, I'm pleased to see that they haven't actually gone all out from the start. They're recognizing that there are some decent length being bowled and treating with the respect it deserves. But still turning over strike, which is something that Paarl struggled with a little bit.
Next ball comes in, another simple block straight back to Fortuin there. No run taken from that. Currently 5 without loss. It does look like they're feeling their way in, and you have to say, with the small target of 143, they have the time to do this, don't they?
Absolutely, they do have the time to do it. There's no rush.
Again, just padded off the pads there. Another single taken.
0 risk, 3 off the first 4 balls of the over. The one thing that you can see they're struggling with a little bit is a new ball. You've got an off spinner who's pushing it through at about 95 k's an hour. That's not easy generally. It doesn't allow you to adjust your length.
Here he comes again. Bit of a thick outside edge there. Nonetheless, fielded at point. No run taken. So it's been not a bad over, but again, we have to say, you know, it's very much a kind of a feeling it in, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Little shuffle in the crease there from Rickleton. But Fortuin was not faced, and he's just pushed that away for 1 to the deep.
Into the over, 7 without loss. Brevis on 4. Rickleton off the mark this over. He's currently 2 off the 5 deliveries he's faced so far. 7 without loss, as we say. The target 143. Now, at what point, and I know it's very early days, at what point do you say to, say, Brevis, right, my son, this is your natural game. Your natural game is 150 plus strike rate. At times.
Well,
We've got Ryan Rickleton at the other end.
sure.
Now, we know he can plod along at 110, 120 strike rate. If he needs to, of course, he can go ballistic. But at what point do you say, right, we've got the small target, go? Does he go from the beginning?
I don't think so. To be very honest, I think there's an opportunity for them to get some runs on the board. And they're not chasing run rates at this point. First game of the tournament, they're not too worried about net run rates. I mean, even if they get to 60 off 10 overs, no loss of a wicket, they've just been chasing on 80 in the last 10 overs. There's really no need for them to go off.
New bowler to the crease. That one is in the air and it is safe. It is a boundary. Rickleton, the first boundary of the MI Cape Town innings so far. That's off the bowling of Simmons, by the way, the new man coming in. He's been tossed the ball and, well, not what you'd call a great delivery to start off.
No, not at all. And yeah, I think Simmons is sort of an average rate player from the West Indies. He's not set the world on fire as yet. But he's still young. He's got an opportunity. We know these West Indians, they come in, they have all sorts of capabilities, bat and ball.
Well, there's another lovely shot. A little bit short, maybe, a little bit wide. Not too much width, but certainly a bit short. Dispatched away duly. That's the second boundary in 2 balls now.
And that's all timing, isn't it, Matt?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's just a great cricketing shot. You can see, I mean, he was willing to climb all over that. But that's a man in form.
Absolutely.
Didn't try to hit it too hard. Just gently played it. I mean, this is the man who, let's be honest, really should have been in Australia.
Should have been. There's an argument that Brevis should have been in Australia. A whole host of players should have been in Australia, and you wonder if that plays on their minds. I think Rickleton probably would have expected a bit more.
Pull that one away. That will be another boundary for Rickleton. So much for keeping it at 110 strike rate. But I mean, that was a dreadful delivery. I mean, short down the leg side. All you have to do is just hook that.
I think Simmons is feeling a little sorry for himself at this point. So his first ball wasn't too bad, wasn't too great, was dispatched. The second one, decent ball outside off and just beautiful timing through the covers. And then
look, there was a short fine leg in place, but let's be honest, Brian Rickleton, they entirely looked in control.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call that a game plan at that point for that ball. That was just pulled down. He's dropped his arm.
Nearly chopped on there. Nearly chopped on. A bit of a better ball. 132 kilometers an hour. So he's not. I mean, he's no speed demon. Is Simmons? But you know, he a little bit reminds me, at least in his bowling, sometimes of Mike Holding, and. You know, it's that line and length, it's that consistency that you kind of want to see. Obviously, the West Indian players, we know they have that explosive ability.
Yeah.
Not a bad delivery, that. I think that's kind of maybe a bit short, but nearly chopped on. A dot ball, his first dot ball from his first 4 balls. So yeah, I'm sure he'll take that for now.
All right, a little bit fuller, rather wide, but safely into the covers for no run. What you'll watch, Matt, is when Simmons runs in, and you can tell when a bowler's not quite feeling himself. The run-up is a bit stagnated. He's taking longer and longer strides, and it's putting him off. And you can see that's why he's all over with the length, because by the time he gets to the crease, he's too worried about where his feet are. There's no rhythm there. There's no consistency. And hopefully he pulls it back now. Let's see if it's a little bit better.
Well, let's see, last ball of the over. He's really gone for 12, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Much better delivery. They do sneak through for the single, but it was the right length. It was a bit indecisive from Rickleton, kind of neither here nor there. But, you know, I suppose he'll take some heart from that.
Absolutely. Got a comment here. Matt, perhaps you can answer this one from Spiro. He says, I don't really know anything about cricket, but why is this match so hyped up?
Look, this is SA20. It's a new mega money tournament. If we call the spade it is. This is a huge cash boost for Cricket South Africa and for cricket in South Africa. CSA really are, no matter who you talk to, and I've spoken to a variety of people at CSA, they're applying so much hope and heart into this. And I think it's the kind of thing. Lovely shot that, by the way, over pitched. Bjorn Fortuin back into the attack. Easy from Rickleton. 4 runs there. But back to what we're saying, it's a huge money tournament that has the potential to really inject a lot down to grassroots level. And God knows, if any country in the world needs grassroots proper cricket administration, it's Cricket South Africa. So they really are, they're putting a lot into this.
Yeah, much better from Fontaine there, just middle and off stump and just pushed away into the deep again for one. Yeah, so Matt, you say that they need the cash injection and so on. We've seen from CSA before though, when there has been a cash injection, there has been a change in management, there has been this and that and all these, let's call it savior plans.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see this ball here quickly. Just turn around the corner for one again. Is this really the thing? Is it a case of mismanagement that we need to address rather than the cash injection?
Look, make no mistake. Make no mistake. Mismanagement has been a dreadful situation at Cricket South Africa for a long time. That bats that one away down the leg side. Another single for Ryan Rickleton. It's been an issue for a while now. It really has been. Besides the mismanagement, look, we're not India or England. We don't get that global, massive finance kind of boom that they do. We do find ourselves short of money, but you're so very right. There has been some awful mismanagement at Cricket South Africa. With a thick outside edge there. Fielded at point, no run. That is...
One left in the over.
One left still in the over. So far it's gone for, by the way, 7. Not a bad over. It was that boundary in the beginning that really changed things, I think. I think this is it insofar as there's nothing else. It's a good shout for what Cricket South Africa needs at the moment. So there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of interest involved. And I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing for cricket in South Africa. By the way, end of the over. 27 without loss are MI Cape Town after 4 overs. Remember, they target 143 runs. And it's something you have to think that probably is achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And Spiro, I hope that's answered your question. I believe it's my chance to swap out, bring Steve back into the mix. Thank you, Matt. I'll see you again in a little bit.
We absolutely will.
Let's have some fun.
And we're back. Hello, Matt.
Hello. Frisco Adams into the attack now. His first delivery, a lot better than Simmons was. Not a bad delivery. I think what's that? That's just a single off that first delivery. Frisco Adams, let's talk about him.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on him being included in I don't want to say a large or nothing Paarl Royals side. But I mean, would you put Frisco Adams in?
I think, and it's quite interesting. I was having this conversation with somebody earlier, and they were saying that basically, if you look at the format, for example, we're talking about a 6-team tournament, and we're talking about semi-finals, finals, where
very nearly a wicket there, by the way. A mistimed pull shot, I suppose, is the best way you could describe it.
Brevis taking a while to settle in here. We've seen Ryan Rickleton's come into this, and he's carrying the form that he had at the One Day Cup, and he's looked very comfortable. Rickleton's taking a little bit. Brevis taking a little bit longer to get it. But I think, going back to the earlier point I was trying to make, is we've got a 14 tournament. We've got a tournament where the semi-finals and the final venues, for example, are already set. We're looking at 30 matches before we get to playoffs. There's actually not a lot to play for throughout the group stages, almost because of the format, given the fact that you've only got to beat 2 teams to get into the semis and the final, and you're not playing for home advantage. So I think that in terms of when you look at the entire squads and stuff like that, you've got a lot of opportunities to look at players throughout the entire tournament. So I think something like Frisco Adams, he's very experienced. He's 33 years of age. He's not a prolific T20 player, that's travelled around the world. But
a bit of a swing and a miss there from Ryan Rickleton, which we haven't seen so far. He has looked in great touch.
yeah, no, I tell you what I like about Frisco. He's got nice variations. He's a very clever bowler, and I think that again, he's got opportunities here. Have a look for me. In the early stage, for me, I think that a lot of the teams are going to be looking at the first week or two before that break to really sort of see this is what we've got. These are the players we've got. This is what we're dealing with. And I think something like Frisco Adams, maybe they're not looking at him maybe in their strongest 11 right now, but there's every chance he comes in. I mean, he's gone very well off here as he goes for just the third single of the over. He has a couple of good games, and all of a sudden you can sit there saying, well, that's a man who can do a job. But I think that early on in the competition, for me, there needs to be an opportunity to look at as many players as possible. So by the time you get to those latter stages, you know exactly what you got, and you can't sit there going, right, well, we've now qualified, we need to give players a chance, and those players play well, and you sit there going, well, do we go back to the players who qualified, the players playing well recently? So, yeah, I'm glad that they're getting people opportunity, and I think Frisco Adams is one of those people who's got a lot to prove.
But there's no doubting he deserves it. I mean,
100%.
He's put his hard yards in domestic cricket.
He's been around the block for years and years. And he's played, not even. I mean, he's a player who currently plays for Boland. So he's not always played at your biggest franchise all the time. So he's been around the block a little bit, but you can't replace experience at the end of the day. Somebody like.
Well, look at that experience.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, into the over now, 31 without loss after 5. Frisco Adams' first over goes for 4. So, I mean, I'll have to have a quick look here at the scores, but by comparison, Ramon Simmons goes for 13.
Yeah, so you've got your, big overseas player, big sign that you're backing, and then you've got your local boys. And I think that's what I'm really excited about this tournament. I think we've got a lot of local players who are not international stars, who I genuinely think are gonna really tear it up. Somebody like a Malusi Saboto, and Aaron Pangiso. These are players who've been around for a long, long time, and they understand the conditions. They know how to play their cricket in this country. They know how to play at the various grounds, and I think that is going to be very interesting to see how you can get the best of those players in and amongst your big stars or your young exciting players. Something like Cody Yusuf, I think is
who, by the way, is coming to the crease now for his second over.
Yeah, he's a really exciting player. I think he's someone who I'm really hoping will take his chance and really put himself on the map.
Well, that is a massive hit.
And
a massive hit.
He's arrived.
You said he was struggling to look a bit comfortable. Did that look like a man to you?
Yeah.
That is gone for 6. It is a straight over the top. Timed it looked as though he had his 6 iron on one of the premium European Tour golf courses there.
And that is cream. Little baby draw probably with that, and he's got all of that. And I think that's a release shot he's needed. He's mistimed a couple have popped up. Hasn't, as I said, I don't think it hasn't hit cleanly, but a shot like that, it's amazing how immediately there.
And he's gone again. He has gone again. This time he kind of pulls it just through the onside, a very, very simple no man in the deep, 4 runs. But that's Brevis, isn't it? Let's if we're going to look at him, they laugh about baby AB, but he is a raw but full talent.
No, he's prodigious talent. He's worth all the hype at the end of the day. And he's a player that you want to mold into a world-class batsman, but you've got to give him the license. You've got to give him the platform to fail. You've got to allow him to go out, play his game, play badly if he wants to play badly, and just keep backing him. And as I said, I think that 6 was a bit of a release shot. That there, for me, almost looked more controlled than the 6. He just gets himself into a good position, walks across the stumps, waits for the ball. He's pulled his shot over mid wicket, so it's very controlled. It's exactly where he wants it to go. And hopefully that'll be sort of the like you at the back. So I think there are a lot of nerds coming in there because he's been so highly touted and so talked up, and all the comparisons with AB de Villiers, not helping that. And I think that if he just needs to sort of settle into a rhythm, get a couple of good knocks under his belt, and I genuinely think that he is probably the one of the players, if not the player, that everyone is the most excited about this tournament.
Obviously, a little controlled hit, another misfield, interestingly. So they'll go through for the single there. But so I wanted to ask you now. You've got the baby AB. You've got this kid who, as you say, needs a bit of license. Just how good will it be for him to play in this MI Cape Town batting lineup? Do you think that'll help his development?
Well, I think that, to be honest, despite his experience, I think they view him as one of the premier batsmen. I don't think you're looking and you're looking at this MI Cape Town batting lineup, and you've still got the likes of Rassie van der Dussen to come. I'm a massive Grant Williamson fan.
Well, he's pulled that away, has Rickleton. It does look like,
it'll go all the
quite
way.
safely all the way for another 4. Rickleton seems to be dealing in boundaries here, but another man who's looking very comfortable, which kind of brings me back to a Devil Brevis. Just how good is it to have him batting alongside a Ryan Rickleton who is in such outstanding form that you can kind of, I don't want to say you can just bank on his runs, but does it not take a little bit of that pressure off?
I think what's for me really nice about this partnership and these two bands together, it's two very sort of contrasting players. You've got David Brevis, who's just one of those once in a lifetime players. Unbelievably good hand-eye coordination, is going to be a superstar. Ryan Rickles has taken a little bit longer for him to get going. In the last 2 years, I mean, he's still 26 years old, so he's been good from a young age. But he's an incredibly hard worker. He's someone who works incredibly hard in his game. He's had to refine his game. He's had to go through spells. He's had frustrations, not being left out of Australia because of injury and stuff like that. But
Yes,
he's a player who's really had to work hard to where he's got, and now he's reaping the rewards. So to now, perhaps for Brevis to be somebody who, I mean, at the end of the day, you look at these two, Brevis has got more talent, there's no doubt. But for me to play with somebody like a Rickleton, he's had to do that hard graft as well, and taken a bit of time to get where he is. Hasn't got an IPL contract, for example, has had to do the hard yards at domestic level for years. I think it's also nice and to sort of see, and Rickleton, again, he's been around the block, so he is the more experienced player. But in terms of form, Rickleton at the moment just doesn't matter what format it is, he's just churning out runs for fun. So you're walking out there, and Brevis doesn't need to worry. He's got a man in form on the other end. He's got a Rassie van der Dussen coming in. There's a lot of players around him. But I think if you look at this lineup, maybe apart from Rassie van der Dussen, Brevis is the premier batsman. So there's going to be plenty of pressure on him. But I think the entire MI franchise see Brevis as the future of their franchise, more than just MI Cape Town. I think more my Indians as well. I think they're looking at him as a player who's going to play for them for a very long time and being very important to them for a franchise, not just a team.
Yeah, look, I mean, make no mistake. You only have to look at his price to see that he is certainly one of the stars. By the way, we're about to start the 7th over, 47 without loss as things stand. Going along at nearly 8 and over, and it's felt very calm. So we brought Shamsi in.
My boy, Shamo.
Well, Shamo, first delivery, not too bad. They'll take a single for that. I suppose just feeding things out.
Look, for Leggy, the most important thing is to land that first delivery. Get into a good spot. Make sure it's not a long hop or a full toss. Get that first delivery in. Being a leg it's a rhythm thing here, and Shamsi's a player. He's almost quite mercurial with the way he plays, because if he's on, and he can bowl some incredible spells. If you can get him off his game, he can become very expensive very quickly.
Look, as I suppose typical of a wrist spinner in that way, but he's what I like about him, as we see him just bowl another delivery down the leg side, just quickly patted it down to short fine leg, another single there. He's a strike bowler, isn't he?
Yeah, no,
he really is, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah, this is Dave Miller saying he wants a wicket. At the end of the day, you're bringing in Shamsi, you're going and saying, power play's done. I can give you protection. I want them to go after you. They will go after you. Put some safe hands in the deep. I want you to find me a wicket. At the end of the day, that's what his role is. His role is not to be economical. His role is not to type it in. Shamsi is there to take wickets.
Well, 2 runs there taken. Do you blame Dave Miller? I mean, look at the score. It's now, well, they've just crossed the 50-run mark as things stand. 6.5 overs gone. A target of 143. If you're Dave Miller, I mean, surely this is the natural choice.
Yeah, look, you had got to. At the end of the day, things aren't working. Well, it's a fantastic power play for MI Cape Town. The perfect start, really. When you try to chase a 140 or a target which is below par.
My goodness.
And it would have been close. So
we're just looking at the replay here.
Would have been actually quite well in, actually.
It would have been in, from that angle we see here.
But I think there's 2 ways to go about a chase, for example, as Rickleton gets from the knee and just sweeps that across down to deep square leg. There's 2 ways to go about a chase. You either want to get ahead of it quite nice and early and then get yourself in position to just sort of tick it off, or you kind of basically set yourself the run rate and you go about do your job. The problem with that, you lose a couple of wickets towards the last stage of the innings, and innings can creep up on you. So MI Cape Town have gone out the blocks quite quickly. So the only way that Dave Miller's bringing it back is with wickets. These 2 bats another 5-6 overs, and I think the game's gone.
Yeah, absolutely, you have to say. I mean, it does look like that. We see now just another ball patted away simply for a single, and that's I think if you're in my Cape Town right now, you're sitting there and you're going, you know what, we'll take a single. The over currently, there's a ball left in the over, 6 runs gone off it. No boundaries, so I mean, from a Shamsi perspective, you're okay with that. But you've got a Devil Brevis at the crease on 20 off 18. You've got a Ryan Rickleton there off 32 off 23. Take the singles. I think if you're Cape Town right now, you're smiling. Another shot, at least another. The last ball of the over goes in there, just padded away. Well, not padded away, just gently nudged into the offside. Into the over, 54th out loss after 7 deliveries. Again, as a reminder, because I think it's very important, the target just 143. You've got a young, exciting Devil Brevis at the crease on 20 off 18. Ryan Rickleton 33 off 24. You're not feeling any pressure right now.
No.
If you
and
are you?
And these don't need to force the issue. They really can afford to knock it around a bit. They took minimal risks and they got 7 off that over, and that's what they need to do. We don't need to worry about for them right now. You don't need to take unnecessary risks. I also think the biggest thing is to pick your bowlers at the end there, pick your battles. Going after Brevis Shamsi, who's a strike bowler, is playing right into the hands. Bowlers you can go after, for example, out of the spinners, Bjorn Fontaine probably a much better bowler to go after. A finger spinner is not going to get as much movement. You sort of dart it in a bit more. If you miss his length as it does come in,
and he's now back into the attack for his 3rd over.
Yeah, I think they'll
tapped away for a single, but still a 3rd over. Would you have kept him?
No, I think I can understand him bowling him Archie. I don't think you want to see you're not going to see Bjorn Fontaine bowling towards the last stages of the innings. I don't think. I think at the moment, again, a bit of damage control, a couple of expensive early overs, try and bring it back. Bjorn Fontaine can be quite economical if he can get things right. I think David's going to ask. He wants them to have a go. He wants to try and create opportunities. Comes down the park, the pitch there does Brevis and just sort of slaps it onto
long on there. So now it's an interesting one as well because of this bonus point rule.
Yes.
So now, if you MI Cape Town, you're sitting here, you're going. Remember, you get the bonus point. If I stand to be correct, I think it's a 1.25 superior run rate.
Yes. So if your run rate is 1.25 times better than Paarl Royals, for example.
So now it sounds defeatist of me, but if I'm the Paarl Royals, do I not try and drag the game out? I mean, I must be honest. If I'm the Paarl Royals right now, I'm looking at it. I'm going 7.5 overs in. We 57 without a loss are in my Cape Town. 143 to get. Hell's bells, we're going to lose this match. Do we not now look at damage control? As we see another swing, wild swing from Brevis, but nonetheless, he'll take the single, fielded safely in the deep. We know what these guys can do. We know how these guys can explode. Do you not try and restrict them? Or is your playing it safe, throwing the ball to Shamsi and saying wickets?
I think it's wickets. I think the conversation. I think for me, I'm looking at that in my Cape Town batting lineup, and I'm saying, there's a lot of all rounders in that side. Let's get to them. Let's try and get through Brevis, Rickleton, Fernandus, Grant Wilson. Let's get Lana Porky to out there. Let's get George Linder out.
My man, this batting lineup is deep.
It's deep. It is very deep, but it is, for me, there are a lot of players there, for example, George Linder, Sam Carey, Rashid Khan, Dwayne Jansen, all players who can bat, but not necessarily out and out batsmen. And I think pressure does strange things. If you can get yourself 2-3 wickets quite quickly, the run rate will inevitably drop, and pressure does strange things. But at the end of the day, I think these guys bat another 4 or 5 overs, and you allow them to bat another 4 or 5 overs, the game is done, and I think that bonus point becomes almost a formality as well.
Well, I mean, it's the end of the over now, 58 without loss after 8. 4 runs off that last over. Not a bad one from young Bjorn Fontaine. I don't want to even say delicately poised, because it feels to me very much like it's just in MI Cape Town's hands. Right?
Yeah, right now.
It really is. It really is. They're playing in front of their home fans. They've got a big crowd at their back. They have a sterling, entertaining, and I think that's very important. They've got entertaining batters that they've drawn this crowd now. It feels to me like this should in theory be a formality, but you never know. Brevis Shamsi into the attack, and a huge, solid, fantastic slap from Devil Brevis. straight.
And you got to love the reaction there from Rickleton. Almost a bit of a laugh. He just knows the talent that's there, and you can see that. I mean, from Brevis, it's kind of a bit of a textbook. Gets him to one knee. He loves that area. He loves going over there. It's a time. I mean, his timing is so good, and this is what ideally, when you're in good feeling confident, that's the perfect way to start over. I mean, it's the perfect slog sweep straight out into that over cow corner. He got all of it.
And I mean, he read the spin correctly.
It's the no look. It's the no look. It's textbook. You so many photos you'll see of him. The ball sailing one way, him looking another. That's a really good.
And now that is mature cricket there. Strong follow up with a straightforward block for the dot. Doesn't matter. I mean, you'd like to obviously sneak the single.
Yeah, it's boring, but
it doesn't matter when you've just clubbed a 6 like that. We see, was there a...
No,
there was not a single-handed catch.
I mean, that man is going to be unpopular. I mean,
and there's that young lady there with the glasses, bless her.
Although from the looks of it, he does look like an SA20 employee potential, which means he wouldn't actually be able to take home the money. So,
well, that as to Ray Shamsi throws the wide almost down to point. It does look a bit like Pat Lambie we hear from Reza in the background there. Pat Lambie, of course, the famous Sharks and Springbok fly half. Very famous around this side of the world. Another smart play there from Devil Brevis. Just taking the single, getting off the strike. I think that's probably good. You've just clubbed Shamo for one of the most sweetly struck 6s you'll see all tournament. Get off strike. You don't need to push it, do you?
No, 100%. And I think, what's also important, and what I really enjoy watching, is when you watch, you got two bats. I mean, it's not, for example, it's not just Brevis that's going. Rickleton's going nicely as well. So rotating the strikers is always good, because you don't want a player who's in good nick stuck on the other end, not feeding the ball. So to get Rickleton on, gets a couple of deliveries as well. He got outside his crease, happy to just take the single down.
Taps that straight down there. It's long on for another single. I mean, it's not been a great over from Shamsi. You have a look at it. I mean, there's been a couple of singles wide, a 6. So what's that, 9 off the over so far? He is a strike bowler, but let's be honest, they need wickets and they need them now.
They do. And I think, for me, it'd be interesting to see if they do bowl out Bjorn Fontaine, or if we do see Dave Miller go back down to some of his paces, because they need something to happen. A bit of a long hop there, and
Brevis will pick that up every day of the week, just straight down past the square leg boundary. Another comfortable 4. Shamsi looks upset. He really has no reason to be upset with, apart from himself, because that was a poor delivery, dragged down the leg side. I mean, maybe the pressure, knowing that he's got the young, talented Brevis there, worried about what's going to happen next.
Well, I think that is this over. As I said, you go for a 6 first, and that's what you want to do to a wrist spinner. You put him under pressure. We've already seen him dart in the wide. He's not.
And another one goes straight to the fielder. In fact, he didn't get all of that one, but it's not a bad ending to the innings, or to the over. 72 without loss after 9, and I'm due to be replaced by our friend Reza, who's joining Steve.
See you in a bit. Right, and I'm joined with Reza, as MI Cape Town, after 9 overs, are sitting at 72 without a loss. Reza looking very comfortable at the moment. A very poor over there from Shamsi, but Rickleton and Brevis are looking more comfortable than I think even a lot of people probably expect after the first 9 overs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to wonder how much the bowlers have to fight for. At this point, after the first 5 overs go, and you've really not showing any sort of penetration into that batting lineup, I think you pretty much know that this game is more or less in hand. It's something really miraculous is going to have to happen for Paarl to get there. Steve, I saw there was a bit of a YouTube comment there from one of the gentlemen. I thought we should just address it quick.
Sammy Griffith saying, as an English fan, having always teams named after IPL teams a bit tacky. Is that how you guys feel, or just glad for the investment? I don't think we... Look, to be perfectly honest, I've got absolutely, I don't know how you feel. I'm very happy to have the investment in here. I think we're talking about, people are calling it, a B-Tech IPL, or the IPL Lite, or a smaller IPL. At the end of the day, I think they generally are going to try and push this to make this the second biggest T20 tournament in the world and make it bigger than the 100, bigger than the BBL. And if they can succeed in that, then that's the main thing. At the end of the day, we're trying to find a quick fix for the short and long-term future of cricket in this country, because we're in such a strange and a difficult situation. And if this is what we need to get there, then I don't think the whole sort of beggars can't be choosers. I actually think it could work out really well. At the end of the day, BCCI are one of the most it's the joke that they basically sort of run the ICC. So it's the most powerful board in the world. It's a good group to get in bed with, to be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it was Jamie. Thanks for the question, but I've thought about this long and hard as well, and just had to think about the naming as well. And I think obviously we have to give credit to the investment that India has put into our cricket. I do have some reservations. I'm not sure if you've seen, but for instance, when they name the stadiums, it's simply labeled as Cape Town instead of the grounds that we're playing at. That I'm not really too sure. I think it's perhaps to make it a bit easier and more recognizable for the Indian audiences, but it is a bit sad not to see Newlands as a ground that you're playing at. So from that perspective, I am a little worried, but I do think that, as Steve said, South Africa needs investment. We need it, and we're very happy to partner with another country in India who we have relationships far beyond cricket, actually. And I think this is just another thing that we're doing here.
All right, Frisco Adams back into the attack. It was a good first over. Went for just 4, and the first one there is just cut out to the deep. It is reeled in. So it'll just be the couple there for Deval Brevis. So, yeah, we're going back to the match here quickly. It's just, we're 9.1 overs in, with 74 runs, and MI Cape Town right now are just sauntering their way into a victory. As Dave Miller, what do you need to do? What has to change here?
Yeah, I think you need some variation, to be very honest. I think you need to change things up a little bit. I think that Pepper Choir is part of the Royals, the Paarl Royals squad.
Oh my goodness me, Deval
Wow.
Brevis, that is disgusting. He has launched that into the depths of the stands. It's straight over the back of his head as Frisco Adams. Deval Brevis soars to 42 of 27.
He's landed up on one knee, sent it straight back over his head into the crowd. I think Brevis is doing his part to certainly help someone to a share of R1 million with a one-hand catch.
Yeah, he's definitely dishing up the chances.
92 meters. Well, actually, he hasn't helped anyone because he sent it over the stands.
And you just you sit there looking and now what do you do now as a bowler? You kind of just, that's a bit of a length ball, not too much in it, and he's dispatched you. What's your follow up now to that?
Look, I think if you've got the variations in your locker, you got to start chucking them out. Line and length is not working here. It's not going to work against a guy with an eye like this. They don't call him Baby AB for nothing, because no matter where you bowl to him, he's going to pick it.
Now just plodding onto the leg side, he'll get through to a single. Nice responsible batting there for Brevis. He's moving to 43 off 28. Ryan Rickleton's actually been left behind a little bit, sitting on 36 off 29. MI Cape Town 81 for 9. Frisco Adams, who had a good first over 9, a lot of pressure. He's gone for 9 in his first 3 deliveries.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rickleton, I had mentioned earlier to Matt that I think he would be quite happy going along at this rate. He would have been I think he would have taken this 36 from 29, and he would have known that his role is to really just be the supporter, allow Brevis to get his iron without having to worry too much about a run rate, and he will definitely give you a return on investment. He will up that run rate. In fact, his first 12 balls, I think he was under 100, and he's certainly caught up now.
Yeah, so Frisco Adams now under pressure. A couple of field changes here. Interesting to see what they're going to look to do. As I said, I think you're going to start to see a couple of slow balls, a couple of different variations. You've got to try and find a wicket at the end of the day, because it's becoming far too easy. The equation currently sits at, I think it is 62 or 63 balls, so it's less than run a ball. So
I'm not a big fan of this field placement as we see him come in for another one. Okay, there we go. I think that was the slower, wider one. Well bowled. You see Rickleton tried to pull him across the line. It was a bit too wide for it. I'm not sure about this field placement. As we look back, I see there's 4 inside the circle, 3 on the off and 1 on the leg. And it seems a bit defensive to me. I think what you're doing there is you're saying to him that you aren't actually able to clear the boundary, which they've been doing comfortably. I think you'd rather put some pressure in, stop the turnover on the good balls.
Yeah, another good return there for Frisco Adams as Ryan looks to give himself space. Frisco Adams follow him, balls it into the body. Rickleton getting it away for a leg by there.
And as we see, it's plotted off his legs onto the leg side. There's only one field on the leg side, and he's still got a 1 there.
And they can do it in ones.
Absolutely. So what is the point of putting everyone on the boundary? You know, all you're doing is basically saying, we hope you mishit one of us. Not much strategy in that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think especially somebody like Ryan Rickleton, he's quite mature these days. He knows he doesn't need to go big here. I think Brevis has got his natural game that he's going to go out and play. He's going to go hit balls. I think that's fine. And as Frisco Adams comes to the last ball of the over, and just paddled away there by Brevis onto the leg side, takes a quick single, looks for onto the second, and Rickleton had no intentions of doing that. But an expensive over from Frisco Adams, and again, I think just frustrating from a Paarl Royals point of view because they're kind of just trudging along without really, you feel like not trying to force the issue, not trying to create a chance, not trying to do anything different.
Absolutely. Very defeatist of them as we see that MI Cape Town are now 83 for 0 after 10, halfway point. Yeah, and it's now a walkover here at this point. It's actually a very demoralizing victory. We hope that Paarl can recover from this to give a better showing in their games to come. And yeah, we'll have to see what happens here. I do think that you need to pick a batsman. You've got 2 batsmen who are in form. You've got to pick one and you've got to say, right, we need to focus you down. We've had Rickleton on there since the second ball. They'd had that expanded field out there. And they were inviting him to take the 1 and get Brevis back on strike. And you've got to say, well, who's the lesser of 2 evils here? And it has to be Rickleton. They don't seem too concerned about it. So a little bit of a wonder at the captaincy here, David Miller, which is not something you say very often.
Yeah, I think the only thing maybe from that perspective is maybe they're hoping that Brevis just, young, very aggressive, that he might not have the discipline to help himself. I think Rickleton, he knows he doesn't have to force the issue. He might not force the issue. I kind of get the feeling that Brevis is a kind of player. This is how he just plays. He's gone over there, first ground back over his head. It wasn't necessarily a particularly high risk shot, but also he didn't need to play shots like that. So I think maybe it could just be a case of, well, we know that this kid's going to go for it, so let's see if he can go for it and get it wrong.
Do you think there's a case to be made though that pressure is more likely to get him out than to try and get him out as the first wicket?
Yeah, look, I just think at the end of the day, you shouldn't be giving any easy runs out. Keep somebody close in on the leg side, get a couple guys in the ring, force them to really force the issue at the end of the day. It can't be this easy, and you're sitting here looking at a running ball. They can do it in singles, they can do it in twos. Like, give them something to think about. For me,
Steve, you've captained a few games, so would that be the strategy you've gone with?
Yeah, personally. And it goes over the top there. See, something like that, single down the ground. I personally think, you'd look at certain areas where they're quite strong and you'd give yourself a bit of protection. But I would definitely bring in a couple more players and saying, let's limit the single, let's take away that easy option, and just try and limit the scoring and say, if you want to score, go over the top.
Absolutely.
You go over the top, that's one thing.
Nothing to lose. You're not protecting a run rate at this point.
No.
So why not? I think as a bowler, you also need to take some accountability.
Yeah, I think something like Simmons, for example, coming into second over was expensive. First over looked a bit out of rhythm. And he's been picked up by Ryan Rickleton. Goodness me.
Ryan.
He's waited for it. He's waited patiently. It's been a while since he's found the boundary, and he's just picked that up off his leg, straight over the square leg boundary. Simmons is reeling here.
And I think that this is certainly a partnership to look out for in this tournament. This is going to be absolutely incredible. These 2 batters are feeding off of each other.
I think the biggest thing with this shot is it's just so simple. It's literally a flick off the legs, basically.
Look, and Simmons has put that back of the hand slow ball. Not the easiest to time, and he's nailed it.
Yeah, Rickleton now moving on to 42 of 32. And as they say, bonus points all of a sudden, and again, and this they're now in the position where I think the bonus points, you have to look at the bonus point. You need to. He's cleaned him up. He's cleaned him up. Well, hold the phone. That's a brilliant return. Rickleton goes 42 or 33. What a delivery from Simmons. What a comeback. I mean, after just being picked up off his pads for 6, He's gone with the Yorker. He's backed himself, and it's cannoned almost a little bit of a shape actually as well.
That's lovely, and I must be honest, that is shocking because Simmons has not pulled out anything like that in his 1.4 overs.
Yeah,
that should give the young man a bit of confidence.
Yeah, and I think Rickerton are playing probably almost as more surprised than anybody because Simmons has not looked like he's had a great amount of rhythm. He hasn't looked particularly confident. So to go and send in a Yorker, which almost looked like it did a little bit, looked like it was getting towards the middle, ended up crashing into the bottom of stump. Rickerton departs. Interesting decision now, and I think this very much shows you that the bonus point is the priority. Sam Curran has come to the crease. It should have been Rassie van der Dussen. You've also got Grant Rudolphson, who was scheduled to come in before Sam Curran. Right decision, wrong decision? What do you think of this?
I don't think there are many wrong decisions that Mumbai can take right now. I think as a batter, great average, 20.86. It's enough to get the job done. I think they're certainly chasing a run rate now. They're not too worried about the outcome at this point. As we watch the replay here again of the 6 that Rickerton had hit, and then the next ball, 2 completely different balls. His rhythm looked good. I think that Simmons seems to struggle a little bit with his wrist position. It causes him to float down the leg side a little bit. That one, absolutely up straight. Got a little bit of shape back. Nailed it. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous delivery. First one up now to Sam Curran. And it's a much better return. The 21-year-old now looking a little bit more.
No runs.
I think that's the main thing, especially as a youngster. Young international player coming into a tournament like this. Your first over was expensive. Your second over it looked like it was heading in the way. And how much does confidence play such a big role into young players? You're talking about, for example, Brevis and stuff. But I mean, somebody like Ramon Simmons. He's 21 years old. Not played. I think he's played just 8 T20s before this game. So very, very inexperienced. A wicket like that. How important is that to get the rhythm going, to get the and just start backing yourself again?
There's a lot. You'll see. You'll probably have a bit more of a straighter back, a bit more of an even run up, maybe coming a little bit harder. That ball that he bowled to get Rickerton out was about 132 or so. Not as quick as, but for him, that's pretty pacey. And I hope he comes right here.
Last ball, the over fires into another Yorker. It's a good length as well, much better line. Very nice return there from Simmons, who looked like he was in for an experience tonight, but he's come back nicely. But Emma Cape Town 90 for 1, the breakthrough there. Sam Curran now at the crease, but still going along very well. Devil Brevis sitting there at 45 off 31 as we move into the second stage of the Emma Cape Town innings. And yeah, I mean, we talked about the fact that they needed a wicket, and what needs to happen after that? You've got to go bang bang now, don't you? You've got to try and pick up a second and a third quickly.
Absolutely, and I think they know that. Hopefully they make those adjustments to the field as we talked about, especially with the new batsman and batter in. And I think that there's something that we need to also just discuss here. Take away the target that they're chasing of 143. If MI Cape Town had batted first, would they be satisfied where they are right now with a 90 for 1 after 11? And what is the threshold for them in games to come? Where is their limit?
Yeah, I mean, I think 90 for 1 at 11 is quite a... Oh, my. And Brevis is just not slowing down. He's fetched that from way outside off stump, and it's sailed over deep mid-wicket. Little bit of a smoke. What a shot. I mean, this kid is special. We don't want to say too much about him. We don't want to put the knocks on him. He brings up his 50 off 32 deliveries. He's fetched that from about 6th or 7th stump.
He's looking straight down the ground, and that ball sailed over mid-wicket, as you said. Targeted the short boundary there, 67 meters, but it was well into the crowd.
And you talk about this kid, and we don't want to overhype. We don't want to be guilty of getting ahead of ourselves. But he just truly looks like a special cricketer, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Adams comes in for his second ball. Okay, a good comeback after being belted for 6.
I was happy to just punch that down the ground, take a single, get Cam Curran on to strike. 53 off 34.
So now this is where we want to see. We see Owen Morgan in his ear, just giving him a little bit of encouragement. We want to see that field come in now. Sam Curran's on strike. Don't give him the hype of having an expanded field and saying, Sam Curran, we know you can hit a ball. Make him feel like he's a tailwinder.
Yeah, I
Make
agree.
him feel
Put
like
him
he's
under
the
pressure.
logo there. Well, put it a slip for the hell of it.
Yeah, get somebody in the get in the space, and just make it uncomfortable out there. Because at the end of the day, Brevis doesn't look uncomfortable at all. So you got to try and make a play here, and if you can try and open up an end, try and put the pressure on Brevis, then as I said, pressure leads to strange things. We had a question here in the comments. Jamie was asking what the tennis is looking. It's looking really good. It's sold out crowd. I don't think it has been completely capacity. But it's been a good crowd. Looks like it's pretty festive out there. A lot of flags out there. Frisco Adams comes in, and Sam Curran was looking to try and join Brevis in the boundary brigade.
It's an absolute freshie. There's no other way to put it. He's tried to send him way back over his head. Yeah, look, you can see Sam Curran's been sent in with a job to do.
Yeah.
It's a good off-cutter, good line, completely misjudged by Sam Curran.
Basically, looks like you're in a tee box.
Yeah. That looks about like my driver swing.
Right, 46 for 51 is the equation, so less than around a ball. Frisco Adams. Last time decides to bang it into the track, gets it past low. It's actually it's quite nice, well directed.
Looks like they brought a few in to the inner field, just as we said. Good, put him under pressure. So, Steve, as we were saying earlier, what is a target? Mumbai facing a stronger side like the Joburg Super Kings. What is a target they should be aiming for, with keeping in mind the batting lineup that they have in future games?
Yeah, look, I think 200 has got to be on. I think on this track, the way that they're batting up, I think that they would have been sitting here. I mean, looking at about 98 of 12.
Comfortable, very comfortable.
So I think 200, and that's a bouncer. I think it might be the first bounce of the innings actually. Frisco Adams. I mean, it's not particularly quick. It's not express pace, but deciding to go to the short ball, which has actually worked out quite nicely. Yeah, I think that they probably would have been looking at excess of 200. I think they're back the firepower they've got. At the end of the day, they've got two quality openers. If they go deep, those big scores are on. You've got somebody like a Rassi Fernandez to come in who's an accumulator before he really sort of builds a platform, and then he can also catch up really quickly. So I think they're a team which will believe that they can score 200 on most wickets, and even on like sort of a high pop wicket go further than that.
Last ball of the over here from Adams.
Right, Frisco Adams, last ball, goes short once again, bit of a slow ball bouncer.
And that's worked out pretty well. He's bowled the bouncer with the expectation that he'll probably play it into the leg side. He's taken the one, which means that Curran is back on strike. Yeah, good management there. I think that's exactly what they should have done when Rickleton was still in. Granted, Rickleton is probably in a different class of his own. May not have been that simple.
Yeah. Right, well, there we go. 98 for 1 after 12 overs, which means I'm going to love and leave you for a little bit and bring Matt back onto here. MI Cape Town steaming along very easily. You've got Dale Brevis sitting on 52 of 33. They do require 45 runs in the last 48 balls. And I'll see you guys all in a little bit.
Well, thanks, Steve-O. Welcome. Well, at least I'm glad to be back, should we say. Reese, as we look at it now, 98 for 1, 12 overs gone. How much more do we have to say?
Yeah, I don't think there's too much more to be said about this game. I'd like to see a little bit of fight from Paarl. I mean, not with the expectation of winning, but you want to be able to know that going into this 12, you are defending a target of, I think it's about 44 runs, or about 46 balls or so. Along those lines, you want to be able to know that should you get to this stage of a game later on, maybe a few more wickets down, set yourself a target. We should get 4 wickets in this time frame.
Okay.
Right? And build on it. Use it as a training exercise. And I think that's what they should be doing. We see the player of the match voting coming up on the screen here with Jofra Archer, Deval Brevis, Josh Buttler, and Ollie Stone. I think it's still early days on that call.
The reverse sweep, there's an appeal for LBW from Tabrei Shamsi coming in for his third over. Umpire says, not a chance, my son. And as things stand, well, doesn't look like we're necessarily going to go for the DRS. Looks like it may be pitched outside leg. What do you say?
I'm not entirely sure about pitched outside leg. I think maybe there was a little bit of a maybe bat first, perhaps. To be very honest, at this stage of the game, why not?
Well, sure. I mean, we're having a look now at the replay. It does look as though maybe outside, and maybe
And
even,
bats.
as you say, definitely maybe bat pad.
So we'll call that a 50-50.
We'll call it a 50-50.
Right.
Yeah, we're what can I say? I mean, Murray Erasmus better watch out. Yeah, look, you could take the DRS. I mean, I think it would have been silly to do so, but really at this point, bringing Brevis Shamsi back in as the wristy, it's really all you can do, right?
It's the right call at this point. To Brevis, when he gets it right, his economy is fantastic, and as you said earlier, he is a strike option as well. Let's see what he goes with here. Is he going to go with the more floaty option, try and get them to nick him off, or send one straight up in the air, or is he going to go with the pressure option and see what comes out of that?
By the way, that did bring up the 100 for MI Cape Town of 12.2 overs. As things stand, Sam Curran is due to face. He's only scored 2 off 7. Now, I know that you and Steve were saying that he's not, he's not an opening batter. He's not a top order batter. So, what do you do? Do you think that's the right decision to bring him in? Why would you bring a middle order batter in?
Yeah, look, I'm not entirely sure. I think that they may be looking at early days. Let's chase a run rate. See how much we can get out of this. But to be very honest with you, I've always rated Rassie van der Dussen very highly. I personally would have brought him in anyway.
Yeah.
And just seen how it goes from there. And I mean, he's well capable of striking at 130, 140. And as you see, Sam Curran is slightly struggling a little bit.
But why do you? Surely, if I'm a captain here, I'm sitting here going, surely, we're looking for the bonus point. Now, I get that you're fine. Maybe you want to really push that run rate up to make sure. But don't tell me Rassie van der Dussen can't do it.
Yeah, I also find that maybe a little bit too movement, maybe a little bit too much thought by Rashid and then the coaching staff. Yeah, and I think I must wonder, as we see Shamsi coming in with his third ball here.
That batted back up. It looked like a cotton ball, but not. Yeah.
Shamsi gets quite a lot of those, actually, and
he's a tricky bowler, isn't he? He's the kind of guy who will get those sort of things because you never really know what to expect from Shamo. He has a bit of wizardry to him.
Oh, it's actually a drop catch. It has carried.
Is it a drop catch? My goodness me, it is too. Well, that's you can see the disappointment on Shamsi's face.
Okay, it's the story of Paarl Royals Day at the moment.
Yeah, actually it is. And there we go. That is the sweetest shot you'll see all night. Head down. And as we were saying, Sam Curran, here I am looking like a complete idiot, saying, well, Sam Curran, clearly not a top order batter. He hit that absolutely gorgeously for 6, which I think will just add the insult to the injury for poor Shamo after he dropped the catch.
That is absolutely correct. He's going to be hurting. And 65 meters, again, towards that short boundary. It's well into the crowd. You can't do that. He's drifted it just outside of leg stump. And for like you said, let's call him a middle lower batsman like Sam Curran, who has just cut one away for 1, I believe, possibly 2.
Yeah, it looks like they'll just take the single. I mean, there's no need to take the 2, is there? There's no need to now really play any risks. 107 for 1.
You simply can't allow Sam Curran to get into his arc, playing on the leg side.
But on the other side of the coin, you've got Devil Brevis at the other end. So you really can't allow anyone to get into their arc right now.
Look, Devalt is his own beast at this point. And it's one of those things where if I'm them, I'm saying we got to keep him off strike for as long as possible.
Let Sam Curran play.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, he isn't on strike as Sam Curran. Devil Brevis is, but he doesn't create the explosive power that we're expecting to see from a batter of his quality. Let the man have his single. I think it was a nice matured single to play. End of the over, 13 overs gone, 108 for 1. The target, in case you just joined us, 143. Devil Brevis at the crease, 54 not out of 35 deliveries. Sam Curran alongside him. If there was a night watchman in T20, you'd say, fine, all right, Sam Curran's the guy. 9 runs off 10 deliveries. But again, we come back to this now. Where do you go from here as Paarl Royals? Because look, this ship has sailed now.
Yeah, it has. Excuse me. I'd like, as I said before, unfortunately, I think the game is well gone from them, and I'm sure they recognize that as well. That doesn't mean that there isn't some value to this game. We've talked about net run rates in these kind of tournaments. We've seen in the IPL that it often comes down to very close margins of points. It's highly unlikely that these teams go through a whole season and win 100% of their games.
So as we see a bit of a discussion here, Captain David Miller having a couple of words with our young West Indian import. It's, again, as you say, I think this is a learning curve. It's a baptism of fire. You're playing against, on paper, the best team in the entire competition, and we see a wild strike, but no run. Eventually, just chopped down back to Josh Buttler behind the stumps. It's a thing where we go, what do you learn from tonight?
What do you learn from tonight? I think you can't blame your batsman at this point. Look, it's 140 odd. It didn't go particularly well, but a team like Mumbai Cape Town had fantastic bowlers. They put them under pressure. I think the bowlers in this case need to have a hard look at themselves. We've seen targets like this.
Speaking of a hard look, that was a hard slap. A hard slap straight over the long off. The long off boundary. I mean, it was a short, wide delivery. It kind of got what it deserved. Maybe not so wide, but certainly a bit short. Not short enough to be a bouncer, and flat batted, just almost straight back over the bowler's head for 4. And to me, that's a little bit been a symbol of the evening that the Paarl Royals have had with the ball in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, their batters did not really excite. But they've felt a bit all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a little bit of rhythm is something that needs to be adjusted to, a little bit of knowledge of each other and their own games and so on. See, Ethan says here, this tournament gives so many people a chance to prove themselves for the Proteas.
100%.
And yeah, absolutely. This is your chance to shine in your home country. You know, you don't have to go to the IPL now. You don't have to go to BBL and Pakistan, and you don't have to do it. You've now got a chance in front of your own fans that you cannot be ignored. You're here on home turf. Do you want to be part of that Proteas setup and not be ignored?
Another short one, duly dispatched. Well into the crowd. Alas, not so much as an attempt at a one-handed catch there. But I mean, we're down to looking for that. We see the crowd really getting behind it, which is actually nice to see, and it goes back to that comment that we just had from Ethan, where it's so important for South Africa. I mean, I think fans need something to cheer.
Absolutely. We.
Oh dearie me, we're looking at the replay of that man.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he's very cross with himself. I mean, to be fair,
buddy. He's still mad.
I've known my cat, who's a very small little cat, could probably have made a better attempt at that. Shame, bless him. I mean, we do hope you.
He might have
get a
lost
better
one of
so.
his 9 lives catching that, but sure.
Well, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, going back to what Ethan said, I mean, it's so true. We need to blood the young talent in South Africa at the moment. Another strong hit down to long off. There won't be a boundary. It'll just go for the single. But we have so much talent, and this is what annoys me. It pisses me off. We have so much talent that is just so improperly managed.
Yeah.
And a tournament like this can only do good things.
Yeah. And then we complain about the historic Colpack deals that happened and so on. And the reality is that we have very little to keep our talent unless they're actually in the Proteas setup. And we see a guy like Duan Olivier, who went over to had a Colpack deal and made his way back. Luckily enough for us. But even now, we have so much to replace him that he's no longer really a part of that Proteas setup. And we want to see guys getting their chance early while they're in their prime, and not having to chase them around the world.
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, I see we got another question also coming through. Will we see Brevis in the Proteas setup, at least sometime soon? And honestly, why not?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's inevitable. I think within the next 6 months, if he doesn't play in one of the formats, there's some huge questions that have to be answered as we see Yusuf come in here.
Oh, that does look like a top edge from Sam Curran, and yep, that should be indeed taken on the boundary. The second wicket falls for MI Cape Town. Sam Curran goes for 20 off 16 deliveries. That puts MI Cape Town 120 for the loss of 2 after 14.1 overs. I mean, it really is. It's kind of academic at this point.
Yeah, well taken catch into the lights. We see that Sam Curran is attempting the Brevis there with the no look. It didn't quite come off, but better from Paarl. I think they have restricted the run rate a little bit. We see Sam Curran went 20 off 16. I'd say, to me, experiment failed. I don't think that Rassie van der Dussen would have given you any less than that.
Well, this is my question to you earlier. What are you trying to really achieve here?
Yeah.
Is he more likely to get you a bonus point than a Rassie van der Dussen? Maybe. I don't see how he is. Nonetheless, speaking of the new man to the crease, our legendary Proteas, should we call him a middle order batter? Rassie van der Dussen has now finally come to the crease. It'll be interesting to see just kind of the way he approaches this, because clearly they send Sam Curran out with the intent of, by all means, my son, go free.
It's a fantastic average.
Yeah, 37, over 37.
Strike rate of 130.
Man's got 29 50s in his 150
You have
matches.
to wonder. Sam Curran's stats at average of 20. It didn't really make any sense.
I mean, maybe they thought, right, well, we won this anyway, so hell, let's just give it a whirl, see how Sam Curran feels on, he's never, doesn't have that much experience, at least on Newlands pitches. Hell, give the guy the chance. But I don't know. I still think maybe not the right decision. I mean, you need 23 or 35. Have you lost your bonus point? I don't have a calculator on me here, but
no, I don't.
are you going to beat that run rate?
I think they're well comfortable here.
They're going to need to do this in the next couple of overs.
I believe. I think they're on par at this point, and I'm sure they'll pick up a little bit. Back to Ethan's question though, will we see Brevis in the Proteas setup soon? My answer to him is, as spectators, we certainly think so, but we are not CSA, we are not the coaching staff, we are not the captains and the rest of that Proteas thing, and for reasons unknown to the rest of us, we don't know why he has been, and we've seen questionable decisions made by CSA in the past, so it's entirely possible that we may not see it.
Look, I think we have to. I think we're at a point where we have to. I mean, I know that I don't really want to talk too much about it, but I mean, I know there's a lot of behind the scenes issues with the Ryan Rickleton situation. Oh my goodness, once again. I mean, what do we need to say about this about this one individual? A fantastic six straight over.
Straight drive. He's absolutely picked it up. I mean, it's it's beautiful to watch, really. It's a little off cutter. He's timed it well, on the up, head down, smash straight through the line.
In the meat of the bat. There's really
right back.
What more do you want? I mean, 72 meters. Well, who's measuring really? If it goes over the boundary, it goes over the boundary.
100%.
We're going to. I truly believe we're going to. The Ryan Rickleton situation is a unique one. There's a lot of awkwardness behind the scenes with that one. We are going to see Brevis. I firmly believe it. And if we weren't, this SA20 right now is going to bring him to the forefront. This match aside, cream does rise to the top, and as Steve so rightly said earlier, we don't want to put too much pressure on the situation, but we will, because we have to.
We need to. I think as supporters who are actively invested in the success of CSA. Oh, it's wide, flicked down to the deep.
Yep.
And it's run away from Brevis can do it all. He's hit straight back over his head. He's also just flicked his wrist, very Hashimamla-like, around the legs. It's good to watch.
Backward, deep square leg there, just easy flick off the pads.
Well on target for the bonus point here, now requiring 12 off. We'll just wait for the graphic. But just while we wait there quickly, I see that Matthew says Brevis should play a couple of seasons of county cricket. And I must be very honest with you, Matthew. I think that's the exact problem, is that players feel like they need to go overseas in order to find success.
Oh, another healthy slap. Took a step towards the leg side, read the shorter delivery, gave himself some room, and straight through the covers. I think 1 or 2 bounces. But even if there was somebody at cover, hell, I think that thing would have passed him before he knew what happened.
Brevis has been cultured for most of this innings. That was barbaric.
Yeah. No, you're entirely right. That was just pure. You know what, guys? I want to go to the pub.
Yeah. That was.
Is he old enough, Steve? I don't know. You're the numbers man. I'll give him 6 or something.
Definitely
7. I don't know. He's about that.
So, Matt, if you'd like to deal with this question from the Matt.
County cricket. No.
Player to miss there from Brevis, who's chased one just outside, stepped over to the leg side.
15 overs gone, 135 for 2, needing just 8 more runs now of 30 balls. I mean, a foregone conclusion. No, I don't think county cricket will help. I think I tell you what, look at the Springboks, South Africa's rugby team. They've developed such a strong South African rugby culture, which has led, in part, to their success. I think you keep him here. We've got international tournaments. We've got Sam Curran batting alongside him just now. We've got, Jofra Archer on a team with him. We've got international talent here. We do not need to send him there. Look at Keegan Peterson. Keegan Peterson went overseas to play a cold pack contract. Didn't really work out that well.
Yeah.
It was a bit for him.
Yeah.
No, I believe, and I truly have a cast in stone belief with this. If South African cricket is going to pull itself out of the hellhole that it's in right now, it needs to develop a South African cricket identity. Without a doubt. It has to create itself in that spectrum and then succeed from there. I'd be devastated to see Devil Brevis go and play a cold pack contract, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm fully in agreement with you on that point. As we see that MI Cape Town need 8 from 30 as Fortuin comes in again, and Rassie van der Dussen has wasted absolutely no time in sending him deep down into car corner.
Couple of steps and down we go.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
7 or 2 from Rassie. I think Rassie, while he would have been accepting of the decision to send Sam Curran in front of him, certainly is venting possibly some internal frustration at that.
Look, Rassie's the kind of guy that he would totally accept it. Rassie's the most easygoing, nice guy you'll meet.
Absolutely.
I can guarantee you right now, you went, Samo, have fun, mate. He's got a job to do. Yeah, he needs to clean this up. 2 needed off 29. I mean, it's all done. 1 now needed off 28 after that single's taken.
Scores are level.
So we've discussed Paarl Royals. Where to here for MI Cape Town?
I think they should be looking high. They should be have very lofty ambitions. I see. Sorry, just reading this comment from Jamie. As someone who doesn't follow much cricket outside England, this is quite an introduction to Brevis. What a player. Would love to see him here with SA for a T20I. And also we need Brevis in the test team. Jamie and Matthew, I agree with both those sentiments, 100%.
Do you agree with Matthew about the test team?
I do.
My man.
I really do.
You need to qualify this statement, yeah.
There's a reason we call him Baby AB, and there's a reason why AB de Villiers is still in the top 10 of our all-time test batters. And I think that I think that you do not earn test status by playing T20s and 50-over games. You get chucked in the deep end with test cricket and you swim or you sink. There's nothing prepares you for it.
Look, we're going to have to revisit this, I think, after this match. As things stand, Bjorn Fortuin is coming into bowl. He's in his last over. He's gone for 7 or 2, so I mean, a bit of a tonking there. But we've got our hero, Devil Brevis here. Let's see. That is mature cricket. Padded away down the leg side for a nice single. We see MI Cape Town taking the win by a very, very, very comfortable 8 wickets.
Absolutely.
The star of the show, right, is Brevis, yes?
100%, absolutely. For me, definitely man of the match. I don't think there's too many questions about it. And a well-deserved win for MI Cape Town. They'll be very happy with the performance. A great start to the tournament. Fantastic crowd, fantastic stadium, great weather. I think we can call this very successful.
A great start to the tournament, I think, as we watch the fireworks go up. MI Cape Town have plenty to celebrate tonight. I think Paarl Royals have a bit to think about. They've got, I think, everything down from team selection to kind of philosophy of play to think about. Obviously, that's very dependent on, the situation, the pitch, the time. But the camera's rightly focusing on the guy that we've been talking about, who YouTube's been talking about, Brevis. So, I mean, if we go back through Jamie's thing, what does he say here? He says, as someone who doesn't follow much cricket outside of England, quite an introduction to Brevis. What a player, would love to see him here with SA for a T20 international. Jamie, you're right. There is no reason right now for a guy this young. I mean, they call him Baby AB de Villiers for a reason. He's got all the talent. He's got everything we want to see from him. I think keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on this tournament because you're gonna see a lot more from him. This is, as you say, you haven't been focusing understandably much on cricket outside of England. He's been doing this on the domestic scene for some time now, and I think he's 6.5 years old or something, but he's still got time to mature into an even better version of what he is. I think watch this tournament, keep with it because you'll see, and it won't be long. It won't be long at all before you see him in a T20 thing. I'm going to disagree with you on the tests.
Yeah, we can disagree. And to finish my points, I'll let you have a go at it as well. Is that I see Jamie says if county teams start trying to play baseball, kids like Brevis will be at the top of the overseas contract list. And Matthew again saying that he should be playing in county and local first class crickets to get into the test team. And my answer to that is sometimes there are players who you can see have the skill required. He's not a risky player. He is cultured. He doesn't need to go out of his comfort zone to score runs. We've seen that he has the maturity to slow down when he needs to. He's not chasing good balls. He's chasing bad balls. He's chasing opportunities when they're there. And I think that there's nothing wrong with putting him into the test team. We said the same thing about Quinton de Kock when he got put into the test team. Unfortunately, I don't think he quite had the heights that we wanted him to get to.
That's what I'm scared of. That's what I'm scared of.
But it was a catalyst for some excitement, some spark in that team. I think too long we've been holding on for another Hashim Amla to come along to support Dean Elgar, and they're not around anymore.
So let's just take a quick look at the match scorecard. Paarl Royals 142 for 7. Jofra Archer did well with his 3 for 27 off his 4 overs. Josh Buttler, the top scorer, 51 off 42. Dave Miller ably assisting him, 42 off 31. Then MI Cape Town came to the crease and they came with a game plan. 70 not out for Deerwold Brevis. And, I mean, Ryan Rickleton scored 42 before he was clean bowled off 33, which is, I mean, it's nearly 130 strike rate. A great, convincing, strong win for MI Cape Town. I think we need to just quickly kind of wrap up this Brevis thing. It's an interesting thing to say, you look at things like the 100 and other county cricket. Baseball is an interesting kind of topic to bring into the discussion. It probably deserves its own podcast.
Absolutely.
But that's maybe the only argument I'll give you for Brevis in Test cricket, because like it or not, I do believe that Test cricket is slightly heading in the direction of baseball, if we can use the term. Maybe then, yes, he might deserve a spot when baseball becomes a thing. But I think under the current Proteas setup, the current Proteas management, the current Proteas coaching divisions across, all the way from the Proteas all the way down to under 19 level, I don't think the philosophy is currently there for a baseball in South Africa. That's not to say it shouldn't be there in the future. I think, you're led by a Dean Elgar, who by no means whatsoever is a baseball kind of a player. And he's kind of a symbol, actually, I think, very strongly for what Cricket South Africa stands for at the moment. And I can't see him being selected. Maybe in 3 years, I would say to you, yes, maybe, fine. But Cricket South Africa is in far too much of a shifty nightmare of a situation to now be throwing a young devil Brevis in. And if he fails, well, hell, what now?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think obviously there's a lot of hype around Brevis, and I think there are other players who are perhaps more suited in terms of form and age as well. We talk about a guy like Ryan Rickleton again, who's slightly older, but still very young, and has the runs to back it up. And yeah, I think that's, if we jump on the hype train, it's very easy to say let's chuck him in the test team, and I see that now as we talk. Even myself, we get caught up in it. You watch an innings like that, and you just can't help yourself. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I think these are valid questions from everyone. So thanks, guys, for interacting with us. And we'll have to see how it goes from here. I'm very curious to see how he progresses through this tournament. And your predictions now for Paarl as they go forward. Are they in a position to recover from this?
I think Paarl have a team that has match winners in them. I mean, if Josh Buttler gets in, if Dave Miller gets in, the match can be won. Irrespective of the top, the match can be won. So it's not doom and gloom for them. My worry is, do they have enough of a team to not rely on someone?
Absolutely.
That's my current concern for Paarl. I think for MI Cape Town, it's simply a case of, well, carry on, lads, as you were. They've clearly got the game plan. They've bought very cleverly. They've cherry picked wonderful talents across the board from 1 through to 11. Bowling, batting, doesn't matter what it might be. They're great. I think it's been a good start. I think it's been a good match overall. I mean, as we wrap up, we've got to say it's been a good start to SA20. We've seen some exciting cricket. We've seen some potential here and there. Let's not forget. I mean, Dave Miller clubbed some lovely shots, as did Josh Buttler. And they were on the losing side. We're in for some exciting cricket, I truly believe. I think there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, well, we've had some great interaction on YouTube already, and hell, we got off to a rocky start with our electricity issues. So anything else that you want to say before we sign off?
No, absolutely not. Guys, thank you again for joining us. And Steve in the background here is also relaying his thanks, and thanks for your patience earlier on. Thank you, Matt. That's a very nice comment from you. You guys are awesome. If a team loses 3 in a row, the tournament might already be over. PR have to win their next game. Absolutely agree. I think Paarl, my prediction is that Paarl are probably finishing in the bottom 3. But I stand to be corrected. We've seen bigger upsets.
It's T20 cricket. Anything can happen. Yeah, I'll echo what Reese said. Thank you, everyone, thank you for joining us. It's been great fun. We've got off to a rocky start, as we said, but don't worry, we will be covering all of the major games here on Favour Sports on YouTube. So do click a like, click a subscribe. I can guarantee you this quality, if not 5 times better, because I won't be here maybe. But if I am here, I apologize. Thank you, Steve in the back there, clicking away furiously, doing the hard work. He really is the brains behind Forever Sports. Well, such brains as there are. But thank you for joining us. We will be around for the next match. And I think we got some great interaction. We've had some